Welcome to the Couch Potato Sports Show, your internet radio home for all sports, news, and talk. Join Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio, and the Eagle Eye, Bill Cerna, and the best co-host anyone could ask for, Cuervo. We cover it all. NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, as well as indoor football and high school sports. Now, it's time. Here's Sonny Clark.
Yo, everybody. Welcome into the Couch Potato Sports Show. It is me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. Kind of a different new show because of the weekend, because of busyness and things of that sort. We were to go on air yesterday at our regular time, 12 o'clock. Guys, and even I would try to shoot for 4 o'clock. Just too tired as Sonny Clark, had my daughter graduate from high school and college. Okay, definitely graduating from high school, but she was in a program that she got her associate's degree as well as her high school diploma. So on Friday night, she had her graduation from high school, Lakeview Centennial Patriots. Woo woo! And she also got her associate's degree at Eastfield College, right here. It's a Dallas Community College with the program within the high school. So she got her associate's degree, and her graduation for that was on Saturday. And then Sunday, it was Sonny Clark being an Uber for her so she could go to some parties, be with her friends and things of that sort. By the time I got home on Sunday, afternoon, when I was going to plan on doing the show, I was just too tired. Didn't even want to mess with it. Didn't want to try it. So that's the reason why we are on this morning. And it's going to be a show. Like if we come on Monday, this is going to be the name of the show. It's the Monday morning quarterbacking. And it can be about football, baseball, basketball, all that stuff that is going on in our world of sports. Now, guys, also with the pandemic and the breakdown and not any sports really going on, we have not been on air all the time. We have not been kicking it each and every week like we normally would on our show. And I've been asked about it. And guys, just to be honest, what if we really had much to talk about? Now, we are living in a totally different world today. And I think we all know that as we move forward. So when sports kind of moves almost at a standstill, what happens is it changes my motivation, obviously, to get on. There are a lot of things to talk about, don't get me wrong. Okay, but there's also a lot of things that are really deep, and they are, they're actually things that we have got to get set and ready to go as we are now moving into sports maybe opening up. But really, we have deep issues, as far as the racial injustices, the rioting, and the protests. Yes, there are difference, and things of that sort. So we had a little bit of difference there, and a lot of people were involved with that. And I really want to jump into the meat of sports. Now, sometimes sports does mix with reality, and that's today. We're going to have a little bit of that today because of some of the things that are happening. So that being said, as that's our show on Sunday, normally we do, guys, we're going to probably start kicking back into that because as sports start kicking back into it, we'll be there. Now, granted, there's not going to be people in the stands probably, but there's still going to be a lot of things to talk about here. So we're going to start that. Now, today's show was what we were going to do yesterday as far as putting it out there. And guys, lots of things to actually talk about. And some of the things that I'm going to talk about were some of the things that were making news about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago. And I got my opinions about some certain things that are going on out there, and I will do that. But lots of things that we are going to talk about. We're going to talk about the NBA a little bit later on. We're going to talk about Major League Baseball. I got a special guest. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I got special guests coming on to talk Major League Baseball and the things that are going to be going on as far as the schedule, as far as who's getting paid, all that stuff. We're going to bring on a special guest on that. And I'm not sure if it's going to be Lenny Melnick. I'm not sure if it's going to be Andrea. I'm not sure if it's not going to be both of them. So hopefully we get both. Well, we'll at least get one of them. That's going to happen at 11:30 Central Standard Time. We'll bring that on. We'll talk Major League Baseball at that time. So, but today, as far as Monday morning quarterbacking is going on, lots of things that I want to get to. And again, lots of things that have happened in the last couple of weeks. So what does that mean? Well, let's talk about the NFL. Let's go there. And in the world that we're living in today, which is quite different than it has been if you go back before April. April, we're talking about sports. We're talking about everything and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden now we're doing the NFL draft via virtual. Like our show is virtual. Which, by the way, we're ahead of the curve now. A lot of people now jumping on this platform, but we were ahead of that curve. We started this in December, not knowing, obviously, that the pandemic was going to go on, not knowing everybody was going to be quarantined at home. We started this because of pretty much demand from our fans, demand from people for some reason want to see us do our show. Now, you'll also notice that I won't be looking directly in the camera like I am right now. A lot of times I'll be thinking and I'll be turning. So avoid that because I don't care about this camera per se because this is a sports talk radio show. But as far as the video is concerned, we got some great video. And I'm going to start out. I want to jump into the NFL because obviously it's the major sport that is out there. It's obviously something that is a little different right now because of the world that we live in. But I want to get to Roger Goodell. Now, if you know Sonny Clark and if you know the history of the Couch Potato Sports Show, you know that Sonny Clark actually likes Roger Goodell based upon business. Now, there is a difference between business and there's also a difference between what you got to do correctly. Hold on here, guys. I got to click a button. There we go, so you can see me a little better. So there's a lot of things about Roger Goodell as far as business is concerned. I'm right there. There are a lot of things that he has done for the NFL. And let's be honest, guys, before Roger Goodell got it in there, the monies that were being made by football teams and all that stuff, incredible. Basically, if you think about it, Roger Goodell, and this guy makes about $42 million a year. $42 million, that's, a lot of zeros. For being the commissioner of the most popular sport in the world. Some people can argue that it is way too much. Some people can argue, hey, it's not enough. But you think about $42 million. That is what he's been averaging the last 4 or 5 years. Okay? Every team in the NFL pretty much hands Roger Goodell $1 million, says handle our business. And that's what the commissioner does, right? Commissioner runs the league. The commissioner takes care of issues. The commissioner falls on swords for whatever's going on in the world. So why is that? Well, because he gets paid to. And I am not knocking the guy for making $42 million, okay? So I just want to put that out there. I'm not necessarily against Roger Goodell and his salary. I'm not necessarily against Roger Goodell. But there's a lot of things about Roger Goodell that I have a problem with, and it started with the video he released. It started with that. So that being said, let's hear from Roger Goodell, what he had to say when he came out. And then we'll talk about the video. We'll talk about what I see or what I think, which I don't know. We'll find out. Let's hear from Roger Goodell here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. This is His announcement that he made. Take a look.
It has been a difficult time for our country, in particular, Black people in our country. First, my condolences to the families of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and all the families who have endured police brutality. We, the National Football League, condemn racism and the systematic oppression of Black people. We, the National Football League, admit we were wrong for not listening to NFL players earlier and encourage all to speak out and peacefully protest. We, the National Football League, believe Black lives matter. I personally protest with you and want to be part of the much needed change in this country. Without Black players, there would be no National Football League. And the protests around the country are emblematic of the centuries of silence, inequality, and oppression of Black players, coaches, fans, and staff. We are listening. I am listening. And I will be reaching out to players who have raised their voices and others on how we can improve and go forward for a better and more united NFL family.
All right, guys, there you go. That is the announcement from Roger Goodell. Now, whatever you think about Roger Goodell, I've got problems with Roger Goodell. Because of this announcement. And I don't know. Here's my thing. There's a lot of things that are going on. And let me just hit this real quick. And because I am notifying our guests on what we'll be talking about when we do that. But back to Roger Goodell. Guys, Roger Goodell, I'm just going to put it out there, guys. I'm not buying Roger Goodell. I'm not falling for it. I'm not falling for his announcement and what he put out there. There's a couple of reasons why. One of them, this is what NFL players wanted to hear. He basically read this word for word what the NFL players wanted to hear from Roger Goodell. Now, maybe it's me. Maybe it's because I think differently. Maybe it's because I have no clue. But I do know what I think. And I'll take you back to one guy back in the NFL, drafted second overall over one Peyton Manning. And you can sit here and argue all day long, but Ryan Leaf had some skills, guys. Football skills with a cannon that was unbelievable and had the potential to be what could be considered a Hall of Famer coming out of college, out of Washington State. But one of the things that killed this guy, being Ryan Leaf, starting off really early in his career, was the fact that he was reading a statement. That statement was not sincere. That statement had no originality to it. That statement was an overall slap in the face to who Ryan Leaf was apologizing to. And when I look at Roger Goodell, guys, again, I'm not falling for this statement that was read. There was no originality to it. It was basically read word for word. However, did not mention Colin Kaepernick. I don't see it sincere. Now, that being said, I'll say it right out. It's amazing what people will do when their paychecks are on the line. Now, I don't guess in reality. I'm just going to guess. When you live a lavish lifestyle that Roger Goodell does, when you make $42 million, you're not, the regular guy making $30,000 to $40,000 a year, $50,000, $60,000 a year. You are a guy that makes $42 million. To me, it's disingenuous when you're getting paid nothing now because, he took that vital step. I'm not going to get paid. And so he takes the step and is getting paid zero right now because of the coronavirus situation. Why? Well, when you make $42 million for the last 5-6 years and he's taking zero now, that means nothing to me. That's disingenuous. Because the fact that you're not making that money, you made for, let's just say this last year, you made $42 million. If you can't live on that $42 million for the rest of your life, you're nuts. So when you got that much money, I find it very insincere, disingenuous when there's other people out there trying to make their bills, make their rent. You know, I think it's really in reality when you look at Roger Goodell, with him not taking his money, this is an investment on his future, for his future $42 million, for his future on what he's going to do. Now, granted, the guy's made over $200 million, actually even more than that, guys, but just over the last 4 years, the guy's made over $200 million. So I'm sorry. That's a small sacrifice. Now, we're in the situation here where now we're talking about social injustices. Now, guys, I'm not going to jump into social injustices on this show. I'm just not going to do it. There's a lot of things to talk about. There's a lot of things that are going on in social injustices that are better equipped to talk about that in a knowledgeable way than I can. I'm a sports guy, so I'm going to kind of keep it with it. But this is where reality moves into the sporting world. And guys, we have more to talk about. It's not just the NFL. Got the NBA, and we're going to talk about that. But really, the real awareness to social injustices were being brought up by Colin Kaepernick. Now, whatever you may think about Colin Kaepernick, whatever you may think about how he brought it to attention, 4 short years ago, and no matter what you think on how you feel about how he protested, this is our world today. This is a topic of subject that is not going to go away. This is the new world today in our sports world. And what you see as the new norm moving forward, not just in football, basketball, and hockey, but all sports, even in the lower sports, in the minor leagues, as well as indoor football that Sonny has a mad passion for. Everything is changing around us. So when Roger Goodell gets up on board and starts talking like he did in that video, this is a guy that's going to say the right things. But this is a guy that also knows how much it will cost them in the end if it is not actually addressed. This is a guy that is going to fall on the sword for a bunch of billionaires, okay, and just go with it and be that guy. Now, listen, really, you have no, when you look at the NFL and Roger Goodell and all the owners in the NFL that had to get on board with this, or if you look at the monies that could possibly be lost, it's amazing. And I'm just going to jump into some numbers that I know. Not what I think I know. It's what I know. At the top of the food chain when it comes to franchise money. Now, guys, this doesn't include marketing or anything else like that, okay? Because you're talking lots and lots and lots and lots of money. But the franchise, $950 million for the Dallas Cowboys, and they're far above the team that comes in second by $350 million, that being the New England Patriots. They made $600 million. Now, you also take that number all the way down to the bottom to the worst team and how much money they're making is the Oakland Raiders at $357 million. Believe me, that number should be a lot bigger. That is ownership problem, or that number would be a lot higher. One of the best fan bases in the country. But the Chargers at $375 million. Second to last, the Bengals $350, Detroit Lions $385, Buffalo $386. And then Indianapolis, $393. Tennessee Titans, $394. Now, we get to $394, the Tennessee Titans. Out of all those teams that I mentioned, the first playoff team that comes there is the Tennessee Titans at $394 million. Now, that's just franchise money. Again, it doesn't include all the other stuff on there. There's lots of money out there and it's not just the monies that are set that I made mention to. But it is a significant amount of money. And Roger Goodell is a guy, okay, that has got to protect that money. It has to protect that investment. This guy's got to fall on the sword of what's going on. So they had no choice to get on this, or they have to worry about the money they could have lost this season or seasons before, whether it be because of the coronavirus or racial injustice or whatever. This is a forced situation. Now, this also is a situation that was brought on board, regardless how you think about it or whatever it is, by Colin Kaepernick. He tried to bring it to there. Now, I was on my show a couple weeks back. I asked the question, where has been Colin Kaepernick? How come he's not out there? And how come he's not marching? And I might have been wrong with this. I think that would have been good. I personally think it would have been really good for Colin Kaepernick to get out there and make some noise along with the protesters. I thought it would be great. But someone, that being John Cannon, a friend of mine, basically said that that's not his role in this, and it never was his role to be the leader, to stand out and be that. He was making it aware to where other people could take the steps in and help make this something that people could look at. And that part I didn't get, but I still take all, and I get it, and it makes sense, but I still would have liked to see him out there. But there should have been other people taking steps forward. That didn't happen. Colin Kaepernick knew he couldn't be the guy to bring the awareness to a point, to make points, to stand up, make speeches, get out there. But I even jumped up on board is that this is a big deal back 4 years ago that really caused a lot of controversy. And my problem with the whole thing had nothing to do with what they were doing. I'm all for it. Go ahead. Do your protests. I'm actually on board with it. But where was everybody at that time? There's a lot of people pointing a lot of fingers out there, but who else was going to be the one to step forward besides Colin Kaepernick to make this out? Now, we have had the protests that have been going on, which, by the way, is fantastic, and they've been peaceful for the last 2 weeks or so. Somewhere in there. They're all now being peaceful, and the rioting and hopefully all that stuff has gone away to the wayside, and it's not as such a big story as it was. But now people are out there. There are exactly what my question was when this whole thing went down, maybe a year after it. Where were everybody taking the step forward to bringing this up? Where are all the rallies? Where are all the protests? Where are all that? Now we are getting it. This is where it's going to make a difference. And the NFL has got to get up on board with this, because those numbers I was talking about, the $950 million for the Dallas Cowboys or the $300 million for the lower tier teams, how much will that affect them if they do not get up on board with this? So when I talk about forced reaction, more so I would have liked to see it be done with proactive jumping in and getting this done, and no one did it. Not any team in the NFL jumped on this thing and took it on board, held the rallies and did everything, but now it is. It was brought up. Now this is what we have going on today. So to the NFL, I hope all this is great. to the NFL and Roger Goodell. I hope it's not all lip service. But the NFL solution to things in the past and even now, okay, is to throw money at the problems to make it look like they really care. So just ask yourself, over the years, how many causes have the NFL invested in? And then ask yourself after the hype or the hoopla or whatever you want to call it, are they still part of? Now, October, obviously, we see breast cancer all around, but the fact is that has actually gone down because we weren't seeing very much of it, as much as in the past years that we have seen it before. So their answer is to throw money at a problem. And the NFL, by no stretch, has gone right to exactly to that. So what have they done? The NFL now is committing $250 million to social injustices and incentives targeting what is called systemic racism that is out there. There's no question. And if you don't know what it is or don't think that it is, do more research. You're wrong if you don't think it's there. So, but they throw $250 million to battle against the ongoing historic injustices faced by African Americans in this country. Congratulations. Okay, they threw $250 million at it. Here's the catch on the $250 million. It's for 10 years. So do the simple math, guys. It's $25 million a year. Now, is that good or is that just a start? Is that genuine or is that just throwing money at the problem because they know how much money they can lose later? It's like when you're at McDonald's and you go up and order, and okay, I'm going to use a different one. I don't eat at McDonald's. Okay, some of the best burgers is In-N-Out and even Burger King. But when you walk in and order a Burger King meal, and then the lady says, "Would you like to donate $1 to whatever cause it is?" And they'll put a little thing up and your name's on it. You donated $1. Is that really helping? Well, granted, the millions of people that will end up throwing a buck at a problem and find, and then they forget about it as soon as they walk out the door, that's great. But I don't do that. Maybe I'm different, but when I give to something, I want it to come from this, my heart. I don't want to come out and do it because I'm prompted to. Or in the NFL's case, got this staring right their face and then they got to answer it. Because let's be honest, they could have done this even 2 years after Colin Kaepernick went out and did what he did as far as protests are concerned. And the NFL didn't do it. If they were really on board with this, they would have jumped on the opportunity and seen Colin Kaepernick at what he did as a guy that, wow, we could get behind and look, like we care. And notice how I said, look like we care. They didn't even fake it until now, when all of this is going on. Combination of Corona, now we got social injustices. They were there. So, Roger Goodell doing what he did. Congratulations. Thank you, Roger. Matter of fact, let's hear it. It was so good. Let's hear it again. This again. Guys, it's only a minute or so long. Listen to Roger Goodell here.
It has been a difficult time for our country, in particular, Black people in our country. First, my condolences to the families of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and all the families who have endured police brutality. We, the National Football League, condemn racism and the systematic oppression of Black people. We, the National Football League, admit we were wrong for not listening to NFL players earlier and encourage all to speak out and peacefully protest. We, the National Football League, believe Black lives matter. I personally protest with you and want to be part of the much needed change in this country. Without black players, there would be no National Football League. And the protests around the country are emblematic of the centuries of silence, inequality, and oppression of black players, coaches, fans, and staff. We are listening. I am listening. And I will be reaching out to players who have raised their voices and others on how we can improve and go forward for a better and more united NFL family.
I will be reaching out. Why didn't you do that 4 years ago, Roger? Why is it now? Because of the fact now there's a chance that either A, you might not have a season because of coronavirus, or B, what's going to happen in order to get to the first minute of a football game. This should have been handled 4 years ago, if not 3 years ago, if not 2 years ago, if not even last year. Now they're forced into it. It's so disingenuous. It makes me sick to my stomach that they could sit there and act like this is really something they're worried about, guys. They act like this is something that they care about. They act like it. And guys, I'm not falling for it. I am not falling for the announcement. I am not falling for what Roger Goodell has to say. I'm not falling for any of this. Me makes no sense. And in this case, in racial injustice, it's being jammed down their throat more so than they could have addressed it. And it's sad. Then I have to ask, who will suffer from it? And I'm talking about the other causes now, since they're going to throw in, $25 million at this. What are the ones that they were supporting and taking a look at are not going to be supported because they got to take that money from that cause and put it towards this one? Or will they keep them all? And I want to see that, because I want to see the really genuine thing. I want to see every single one of their causes that they did last year be booked for this next season and seasons to come. Or do they take money from other causes that they so-called care about? You see, I don't believe people's hearts when they're forced into doing anything. Are you truly donating for this cause? Or are you just trying to make a statement that, hey, I hear you, and this is the way the NFL has handled problems all years and years down the road? And I'm sorry, guys, I don't get it. And I don't get it from Roger Goodell. I don't believe him when he makes statements that are read and not just spoken, or coming from the heart. Go back to Ryan Leaf, or go back to anybody who reads a statement more so than talk about it. And their either acceptance of what they're talking about, their belief in what they're talking about, or whatever it is. I'd much rather have them talk about it instead of read a statement. And statements are put out for a reason. So is this really the NFL? Is this really something the NFL cares about in reality? Or is it forced to be addressed because the 2020 season is on the line? And then what happens if they don't have a season, or there's no fans in the stadium for the 2020 season, although there's already talked about that they're going to have full rock out there and everybody out there doing what they're going to do. And what happens if they don't have the season because of the coronavirus? And then the question is how many players actually might sit out at this time, whether it be because of safety, because of the coronavirus, or for the racial injustices? Now, you can call me whatever you want. You can call me conspiracy theorist. You can call me a pessimist. But here's what I'm telling you right now. When Roger Goodell put that statement out, I don't trust the NFL. I don't trust their newfound revelation on social and racial injustices as a serious problem. And they want to solve. And they want to be a part of the solution. Or are they really going to do it? Because I'm telling you right now, I don't believe it, because that should have been addressed a long time ago. A long time ago. What do you mean, Sonny? Well, I'll tell you. It was 4 years ago that Colin Kaepernick did that. 4 years. 4 years ago, there have been, and this is just a guess, it's probably a little bit more when it comes time in August. But there's been approximately 1,460 days that they could have addressed this. And because now what's going on in the world, now all of a sudden this is a problem to the NFL? And call me a pessimist again. Call me a conspiracy theorist, or call me a guy that I don't believe the sincerity of their words and their actions because they're forced to do this. Or they would have done this a long time ago. And not when they were prompted, not when the pressure was on, not when the season was on the line, not when the fact of the matter is that most of the players now are going to do the protest regardless what people think. That being said, of course, that's the name of our show on Sunday. Guys, there's a lot of things that I feel about what's going on in the world. And I also get what people are talking about. I get it. I also understand what people feel about this movement. And guys, this is an incredible movement out there. And actually, I find it fantastic. But here's one thing that I want to do. And I just want to put this out. Now, before I make this statement, I want you to understand that this is just an observation of opinion. I don't necessarily believe this, but here's what I like to do as far as our show is concerned. I like people to be heard. So I'm going to try to put what people are saying and that they're not being heard. Because let's be honest, this movement and everything obviously wasn't heard for whatever reason it might be. Okay? So again, this is an observation of my opinion, or of an opinion. Not necessarily my opinion, but an opinion. People who understand what Colin Kaepernick has done. Now, granted, if you don't know what's going on in the world today, you got your head buried in the sand. Believe me, there are a lot of people that do. But the people who, and Drew Brees is one, and I'm going to use him because of his words and what he said, and I want you to think about this. And I said this 4 years ago when this was being brought up, and I was thrown away. Sonny, you don't get what's going on. No, I get it, and I understand. I do. I know what this protest was about, and I knew what it was about before it was. Yes, it was not about the flag. And guys, I'm telling you, I think the majority of people really see that. And maybe I am naive that people see it. But I want you to think about the opinion of people that love this country and see what that kneeling was as a show of disrespect to the flag. Per se, extend it from the flag. Extend it into the people who have lost their lives defending that flag. Black, white, purple, all races, all creeds, defending what that flag means, which is also one of them is protesting peacefully and things of that sort. Okay, so I want you to understand that they other people's opinion, and they could be wrong. Okay, and guys, I'm going to tell you, I understand and I get it, but you got to understand what family and people who are currently in the military and families who have lost children, fathers, mothers in the military service, and folks that have been in the military, what they could have sacrificed, which was their lives at it. Now, this is other people's opinion, and these are usually people that have got some mad love for the military. Okay. And again, and if Cuervo is able to get on someday, he's not going to be able to get on today. But I know what Cuervo is going to say as far as this is concerned. They will protect your rights to peacefully protest any way you want. But does that mean they agree with the way that you're protesting? Again, now protests should be able to bring and start some fire. And guys, that's exactly one thing that you're going to start fire with because of the sacrifices of men, women, children, sons, daughters, dads, mothers throughout the history of this country. And their love for that flag supersedes everything because of the sacrifice. And some people don't get that because of the heaviness of this subject of racial injustices and social injustices from Black people all over this world. And some people aren't going to see what the message is because of what's going on. Again, I'm not saying they should have, protested in a different way. I'm not even getting into that. But you got to understand, and this goes back years and years and years and years. And this is not just our generation. Hell, I'm 53 years old. This goes back to the people. And you see people that have given their lives for this country, for this to go on. And you got to understand that loyalty to that flag, period. And people will stop there. They don't care about what's going on. They see it as a disrespect to the flag. Now, granted, we all know it's not about the flag. We all know this. But people who have lost family members, they don't care who you are, Black, white, whatever the case may be. And I've met and you've heard it, some other Black people saying they don't care because they see it as what it is. Drew Brees backing off of his words and stuff like that. You can't tell me. And listen, this is not a shot at Drew Brees, but Drew Brees now backpedaling off of what he said. But you see where that was coming from. Again, I'm almost positive that Drew Brees understands what this is about. But at the same time, he sees it differently because of his family and the love that he has for people that he has either lost or have people that are willing to sacrifice for what this country is all about. And they see about what they see it as disrespecting the flag and what comes with it. Again, guys, I'm not that person. It's not the fact that they don't get what Colin Kaepernick's point of this thing was. They are not going to see it outside of disrespect. And you can prove it, show it to them, and say it. But they are going to see what it's all about. So when people say it disrespects the flag, I think, and I could be wrong, and I could be naive, and I'll just say it. But I can also understand, so when people see that it is disrespectful to the flag, with the hand over the heart, the allegiance to the flag, what this country is supposed to be about, just because they don't seem to either want to get what Colin Kaepernick is doing because of how he did it, and they have a right to feel that way just as much as Colin Kaepernick has a right to protest in the way that he did. Just because you don't get it or don't want to hear what Colin Kaepernick is, guys, one thing I want to say is don't jump on people thinking that they're racist. They have an allegiance to a flag in the military, and they see it as a slap in the face, even though you may not believe it, and they have a right to feel that way, whether you think it's right or wrong. And I'm not even going to get into that. They have a right to that feeling as well. And again, guys, also in this country, they have a right to be racist. This is a country that allows this BS all over the world. And here's the thing, I just don't associate with it. So but it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be addressed. And Roger Goodell, again, hey, if this is all real, and I am completely wrong about Roger Goodell and the NFL's motivations, I will come back later on this show and say, hey, I will eat the shit burger. Okay, about what I said about it. Just don't forget that other people have a right to feel the way they do, even though it may be wrong. Just as much as people look at this is not about disrespecting the flag. They have a right to feel that it is, regardless right or wrong. You have a right to that opinion. And so right, wrong, and different, I don't know. But I don't think that is something that you can throw on a person. I don't think that is something that you can throw on people. Because when someone has lost their child in military service for what this world is supposed to be about, equal justice for all, which is exactly what Colin Kaepernick is trying to put out, which I think obviously is something that needed to be done because it didn't happen after 4 years ago. Now, look at the world that we're in right now. So I'll go back to the NFL, and I'll go back to the social injustice that they supposedly are throwing $250 million at. That's $25 million for 10 years. What happens after 10 years? What is the long term? Is 10 years long term enough to think about what's going on? Is it crazy for me to ask what are they going to do after the 10 years? Or will this be pushed to the side? People aren't going to think about it like the other causes that they don't throw money at after the allotted time that they were going to give them money. And then I want to see the NFL keep the ones that they have supported in the years, for years and years and years, and keep them as well as this. Then I'll feel a little bit more comfortable. Yeah, so I guess I want the NFL to open up their books. I want to see how serious they are. Are they serious about the other things that they support? Or are some of those going to suffer that they're not going to support anymore? I just look at it a different way. I get what the NFL's doing, but I don't trust Roger Goodell. I don't trust his words. We are in a different times of sports. This goes way over what we've been normally seeing. We're talking about racial injustices on a sports show. That tells you where we are in this world. The world is changing around us. And guys, I'm going to tell you, you need to get on board with this because I don't know about you, but this is just what Sonny Clark feels. This is just a personal feeling. I want to be able to walk down the street, and someone walking at me and I don't even give a rip who they are, like color, creed, or whatever. That's what I want in this world. That's the way I look at it. I hate seeing, I walk down the street, people are people. I want them to be blind to all this stuff. And granted, I may be living in Sonny's own private little world, but I don't care who you are, what you are. I'll go back to Martin Luther King. I'm going to judge you by your content and your character. I don't give a rip about what color you are. So yeah, I'm going back. I don't trust Roger Goodell. I have no trust in his announcement. That announcement to me was read. That announcement was Ryan Leaf reading the statement. And I don't want to hear statements that are being read. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear someone talk from this right here, the heart. I want to hear him talk from the heart. And if you can't talk from the heart, don't talk. I understand both sides on this. I really do. And I'm not saying one's right or wrong. I'm not even going to get into that because it's not my place. But I can see both sides. And I can see how some people feel the way they do. Right or wrong, it don't matter. But that's where I'm at. Where are you at in this? You can put a statement in there. You can let us know where we're at. But, hey, we're in a different day and age in sports, okay? Our sports show probably is going to change in front of you. Our sports show is going to be a lot about things that are going to be coming outside of what the sport is, whether it's NFL, NBA, National Hockey League, or baseball, which, by the way, reminds me, at 11:30 Central Standard Time, I'm going to bring on a guest on this show, and that will be either Andrea or Lenny Melnick. So hopefully we'll get them back on. Guys, we're at the top of getting near to the top of the hour. Guys, we're going to be talking baseball at the bottom of the 11 o'clock hour, bringing on the fantasy gurus that are Lenny Melnick, the godfather of fantasy sports, or the goddess of fantasy sports, or both of them at the bottom of the hour. Hopefully we'll get both of them. If not, if we get one of them, it's going to be great. How are you feeling this morning? Hopefully everything is good. Sorry we haven't been on air, but we live in a different time. We're going to try to start getting on more as more sports are opening up. As we've seen, NASCAR has been doing what they're doing. There's a golf tournament. Daniel Bergo won the PGA, the Colonial, that was on the other day. So that's where we're at. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. Thanks for joining us here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. We're going to come back at the top of the hour and talk a little bit more about some of the things. We're going to go into the NBA because there's a lot to talk about the NBA. We still got a lot of football I want to cover up on this show outside of what we just talked about as far as Roger Goodell and things of that sort. We're going to be talking about all those as well. So some situations, who's going to be who's going to be what. We'll do that. We'll cover that. You're listening and watching the Couch Potato Sports Show here on the Blog Talk Radio, as well as obviously here on Streamline. We'd like to thank Streamline giving me an easy program that I could do that, and guys, the great thing about Streamline is I can move things around and I don't even have to think about it, whether it's to put up a certain thing or to throw up our banners. Makes it nice and easy to see who you're here with. So does that look like me, by the way? I don't know. He probably needs to have a little more. Anyway, I hate those things. They look nothing like me. And I don't even want to show you a picture my wife sent to me the other day about the back of my head. Never mind, the front of my head is bad enough. The back of my head, oh, Jesus. Let's just scare everybody away. It's the Couch Potato Sports Show. This is Monday Morning Quarterbacking. Check them out when we have a show. That's going to be the name of the show. We're going to have a different name of the show for whatever day of the week that we're going to be doing it on. So check that out. And guys, again, we're going to try to get back up on Sundays. Week number 1 in the NFL, of course, we start at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, take it up to kickoff. Or we try to do it at noon, but we do adjust that schedule for family members, and especially my co-host, that being Cuervo, with his schedule and what he has to do per the military and things of that sort. So we're a little bit more lax as far as that's concerned. So make sure you check it out. Thanks for joining us here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. We're going to take a quick break. That will get us at the top of the hour. When we come back, we're going to talk the NBA. Lots of things to talk about the NBA, and I am not even going to touch the surface of all the things that are going on as far as that's concerned. So join us here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back.
Taken for a ride? Check out Costco Insurance, serving Texans since 1981. Bundle your home, auto, or business insurance to save a ton. Costco Insurance on the corner of Main Street and Rowlett Road, where we make insurance fun. Or check us out on the web at CostcoInsurance.com, where we always have the coffee pot on.
Yeah, but is it fresh?
Let Buffalo
Creek Doors and Floors help you restore your home to its like-new condition. Need a contractor? Let us be your first stop as well as your last. Want to see what kind of work we do? Check out our Facebook page and you can see the craftsmanship you'll receive and expect from Buffalo Creek Doors and Floors. Give Rodney James a call at 214-536-2607 or check him out on the web at www.buffalocreekdoorsandfloors.com. At Wesson General Contracting Incorporated, we're your one-stop shop for all your general contracting needs. So roofing, gutters, sidings, fence staining, painting, foundation problems, or roof damage are no problems at all. Give us a call at 214-200-5588. That's 214-200-5588. Wesson General Contractors, proud sponsor of the Rowlett Eagles radio broadcast.
RowlettFood.com. Do you want to have dinner delivered but you don't want to use Uber Eats? Contact someone locally that can do the same thing at a better price and faster. All you have to do is pick a restaurant on the list at the website, tell us what you'd like to order, then check out. Check out RowlettFoods.com. Give us a call at 972-408-8002 or check us out on the web at RowlettFood.com.
Liberty Air and Heat. Everybody knows what the Texas Heat can do to your air conditioning and heating systems. That's why you need the experts that deliver the best and most honest service in the Rowlett area. We provide the high-quality air conditioning and heating services that keep you more comfortable when you need it.
So contact Liberty Air and Heat at 469-678-9444 or visit them on the web at libertyairandheat.com. Ever want to know why Bill and I look so good on our broadcast? Check out K West Designs on Facebook. You can take a look at our pictures and see the quality of the work that comes from K West Designs, especially if you have a special occasion. Just get on Facebook, look up K West Designs right in the search bar, contact them directly for questions or anything that you may have regarding your personal design. Landon Huey and 19 Ministries.
One of the things we want to do is Rowlett Revival, and we know that there are a lot of hurting and broken people across the city. Bring in a guest speaker, and he's just going to share the love of Christ, and we want to connect people in the city up with churches.
So make sure you contact Landon Huey at 19 Ministries at 972-835-8665 or check them out on the web at 19ministries.org or uniterowlett.org.
There is nothing that beats good home-cooked barbecue. Since 1941, whether you want real Texas brisket, Virginia ham, southern pulled pork, or fall-off-the-bone ribs, Dickey's Barbecue is the place to go. Come visit us today at 5701 President George Bush Turnpike, Suite 110 in the Target Shopping Center. For lip-smacking, rib-tickling, knee-slapping, foot-stomping, great-tasting barbecue, come see us at Dickey's Barbecue today.
Are you looking for a new home? Want to know what your house could sell for in today's market? Then you need to contact Realtor Jeremy Morgan with Ray Hubbard Real Estate Group at Keller Williams Rockwall. Whether you're buying, selling, leasing, or investing, he can help you get where you need to be. That's 214-236-2914. Jeremy Morgan with Ray Hubbard Real Estate Group, Keller Williams Rockwall. At the Jerry Bullitt Training Center, we truly believe experience is the best teacher. With over 50 combined years of knowledge and experience in sports performance and athletic training, our coaches understand exactly what it takes to achieve your goals. Contact Melvin Bullitt at 214-326-7853 or visit their brand new facility just outside of Waterview at 8900 Princeton Road in Rowlett. Go Custom. Get happy. Tell us what you love. We're your local neighborhood window covering experts who truly understand your needs, so we deliver the perfect solution for your home. So check out Budget Blinds of Rowlett, serving Rowlett, Wiley, Saxe, and Garland. Give them a call at 972-722-9300. Budget Blinds of Rowlett, where we listen to our customers' needs. Find out how Merchant Masters, DFW, specializing in small business companies, can help you save money and protect your customers' information with our credit card processing and point-of-sale system, including financial savings, lowest possible rates, superior technology, and improved support. Or contact John Beeman, Merchant Masters, DFW, different from all the rest. At Nest Egg Wealth Advisors, we have found many people either approaching or currently in retirement failed to truly maximize some of the benefits offered to them, primarily Social Security. It's simply not a benefit that you start receiving at age 62. If you would like a complimentary copy of Social Security Maximization, please give our office a call today at 972-412-6064 or visit us on the web at nesteggadvice.com.
Show, it is me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio. Apologize for the absence that we've had for the last couple of weeks. Again, congratulations to my daughter, who not only graduates high school with her diploma, but she also graduates with her associate's degree. So her first 2 years out of the way, she is headed on over to North Texas University, home of the Mean Green and the Eagles. Full ride up there. Congratulations to her. I'm so excited for her. So 2 children with their associate's degrees out of high school and moving on and gonna make an impact in this world. So that's why we weren't on yesterday, and that's the reason why on Monday morning quarterbacking, whether it be the NFL or the NBA, Major League Baseball, bottom of the hour, I'll bring on Andrea or Lenny Melnick, or both from Lenny Melnick's fantasy programs and guys that have lots of knowledge in Major League Baseball and some of the things that you might be able to see and what you might not be able to see. Now, that being said, of course, that's the name of our show on Sunday. Guys, we're going to try to start kicking into it because sports are opening up a little bit. And speaking of sports opening up a little bit, we have some situations with the NBA. We have some situations with some of the players in the NBA. We have some things going on in the NBA that is a little bit different in the world today and something that is different from what we normally see. And as you can see, look at this. Look at all this. Look at these guys right here. These are the guys that make a difference right now in the NBA. These are the leaders of the NBA out on the basketball court. Forget about the ownerships and things, but these are the guys that are making some decisions and what's going on. Now, if you believe, and I don't know how much I believe it, if you believe that the NBA was set and ready to go and doing all the stuff in Orlando, going down to the Orlando resorts and stuff like that to get set for what they were going to do as far as the NBA is concerned, that you might have been living in your own world, maybe. Me, I wasn't doing this. I kind of felt it. Now, before I jump into the NBA, I'm going to use an NBA person to backtrack to what I was talking about in the NFL. The NFL situation, I guess you can say, is one of those that has a lot of, how do you put it? The NBA, they have a lot of pull. And they have a lot of opinions about some of the things that are going on, not just within the NBA, but the sporting world in general. Good, bad, or indifferent, that is just the way that it is. Do I believe all the things that should be going on and everything, and how do I feel about the NBA and what's going on? Sure. There are lots of things there. But I will tell you that there are a lot of things that have been going on in the world that are different. And when I looked at some of the things that were being said, and guys, there's a lot of opinions out there about things. Lots of them. Good, bad, or indifferent. You can believe whatever you want to believe, but there are other things. So that being said, of course, again, that's the name of our show on Sunday. Make sure you tune into the Couch Potato Sports Show on that. I want to go to an NBA guy that's kind of talking a little bit. I guess if you want to call it smack talk, you can. And I would be right there with you. I think maybe a little smack talk, but talking about Greg Popovich, okay, he goes out and kind of says what I was kind of thinking. He says a smart man is running the NFL and he didn't understand the difference between the flag and what makes this country great and all people who fought for it to allow Colin Kaepernick to have the right to kneel for social injustices. And that's what, and that's what he said. He said the flag is irrelevant. It's just a symbol that people glom onto for political reasons. Now, that's a strong statement. Huge statement. But I go back to what I was talking about regarding that whole deal. I'll go back to what I was talking about as far as people in the military. So when you say a smart man is running the NFL and he didn't understand the difference between the flag and what makes this country great and all people who fought to allow Colin Kaepernick to have the right to kneel for justice, parts of me agrees with what Pop had to say, and parts of me wants to go, well, so now Greg Popovich doesn't get the other side of the story from people who have families who have given their lives for this country and see that as the all-standing first wave on how it should be done. Good, bad, or indifferent, that is the way that it is. And I'm not saying it's right nor wrong or how people should feel about the whole situation. I'm not going to get into that argument because it's not fair, I think, to certain people. But I also understand where people are coming from as far as the military. Now, granted, this is the only thing I'm going to tell you. My only family in my Clark family household. Okay. Whoa, I just lost us all. Whoa, my camera just went flying down. Let me get that back up. I'm sorry about that. Because I've been making some adjustments here. There we go. I think I'm back on. There we go. Sorry about that. Well, you didn't see it fall, but because we had Greg's face up. But that being said, now, what is he saying? He is saying that a smart man running the NFL didn't understand the difference between the flag and what makes this country great. I don't necessarily believe that. I think Roger Goodell is smart. I think Roger Goodell did get it, but I think that he was also doing his job, which is protecting his money maker. And you can't get, and now on that part, you're probably not going to be able to convince me any differently. But with a lot of things that are going on in the world right now, people's rights are being trampled on for what their personal beliefs may or may not be. And again, I'm not going to get on who's right or wrong. The only thing I'm going to say is people have a right to believe whatever they want to believe. And yes, if you want to be racist, you can be the hillbilly in the backwoods and not want to catch up with the world. That's fine. You can live in your private little world. Okay, but there are some changes going on in this world, and I'm not going to take the right away from you to be a racist, but you're not going to take the right away from me for calling you an ignorant fool. So I'm not going to take anybody's right away, and especially people who feel what they feel about that flag. And more so, I feel more about that than I do about people being racist and they just don't like black people because of who they are and what color their skin is. But I do get the military side of it. I get where people feel that the military is being disrespected. I get it. I don't agree with it personally, but I get it. And I'm not going to hold that against them. Nor am I going to call them racist. I refuse to do that. Now, I'll call out a racist if I see it. And our president is doing a mighty fine job of that. But that's not sports, so we're not going to get into it. But based upon what's going on, if you are a military family member who has lost someone, people in this movement right now have got to respect that just as much as really the people, in the military should respect the movement. And that's one of the things I think is going on is people are not listening to both sides because of their agenda. And listen, everybody has their agenda, and that's wonderful. But whether or not you respect it, that's going to be different. And some people within the military feel that it's not being respected. Good, better, and different. I'm just saying that's what it is. But now we get into the NBA and what's going on. There's lots of things going on. And this is where real life moves into sports. And real life is beginning to make its way around. Again, you think about it. These are the guys right now that are leading the NBA and what's going on. These are the guys that are making head waves. And some others, obviously. But now, when you think about what's going on in the NBA and how they want to try to do this, now all of a sudden, where everybody thought that they were ready to step up and move forward and start doing what they were going to do, there's been a few that are standing up and they have a concern about the return. Whether or not it's a viable excuse, reason, or whatever the case that you may want it to be, you get an opportunity to hear from people. They have those meetings on the phones all the time. Good, better, and different. These meetings are taking a different turn than most people thought that would. Which way is it going to go? Now, and then the question you have to ask yourself is what direction was it supposed to go after those meetings? What direction was the NBA going to head? Well, they were going to head down to Florida and do this. But now there's some talk going on about continuing the season. Again, I'll throw it back up. There's a growing concern among players about an NBA return. Now, who are those guys that are having that growing concern about the NBA return? Who are those guys? And basically, it's some of the guys that are not within the top 20, not among the big names in the NBA that you see right there. Guys, I'm going to tell you, there are some guys in the NBA that play that are living paycheck to paycheck, but they also want to be safe. They also want to be able to do what they got to do, but they need their paycheck too. So there's a lot of things going on in this because right now, there are some players that want to sit out. There's some that don't think it's worth, something that's worth it, and some do. And then that takes me to Kyrie Irving, who's out there. I don't know if you want to say he's out there lipping it up or whatever, but the quote from Kyrie Irving is that there are only 20 guys actually getting paid. And he is a part of it. He says, I'm a part of that. Let's not pretend there is not a tiered system purposely to divide us all. Now, whether or not you agree with that statement from Kyrie Irving, you have to kind of respect it. I know I do. Because he's kind of standing up for the little guy, but he's kind of not. The question will be whether or not, is this about coronavirus? Is this about racial injustice? Is it all about everything? It's all about the money? And at the bottom of the hour, Major League Baseball, we're going to talk about that with either Andrea or Lenny Melnick or both. But as far as the NBA is concerned, what are they talking about? They're talking about the racial injustices and things like that. Now, that also being said, Dwight Howard, a guy that is out there, okay, he is out there talking. You know, he would love to win his first NBA championship, but not at the cost of what is going on regarding the racial injustices and the awareness. And obviously, look at what's going on in our world today. Our world today is totally different. We are having protests every single night all over this country. And as of late, they have been peaceful protests, which is exactly what needs to happen. They need to stand up to what's going on. And listen, I'm not capable to be going on a march. If you took one look at me, you know, Sonny, make it about a quarter of a mile and have to sit down and be done. That doesn't mean that I'm not part of what, you know, hopefully we can figure out a solution to this problem that is an epidemic across this country. But the NBA, some of the players are looking at this in a different way. The NBA is looking at this as far as the players are concerned, is there's a safety issue here as well as what's going on as far as awareness all over this country. And whether or not they'll continue with the season will be up in the air right now, because everybody was talking about, hey, this is a given. It's all done. They're going to do it. They're going to get down there in Orlando, have it out there at the Disney World. They got all those basketball courts down there. It's going to be all done. But now we go back to some players, a growing concern about the NBA return. And it's a combination of what's going on regarding the coronavirus, as well as the racial injustices all over the world, as you heard from Dwight Howard and you've heard from Kyrie Irving. So that means the guys that are at the top are making these decisions for a lot of other people. As you think about it, the top 20 players, you're talking about, you know, one part of a percentage of the league making the major decisions for everybody else who is out there. But in this world today, I think, and I could be wrong, I could be living in Sonny's dreamland, Okay. I think with what's going on in the world regarding the coronavirus, whether or not players are worried about that or not, I think that these contracts that these players are under, forcing them to go to Orlando, they could be able to take a step out without penalty, whether they don't get paid and everything. That could be their choice, and I think that they're going to be okay with that. But these NBA finals and the NBA run that they're going to run, will it look like the same NBA that we're normally used to looking at? Now, granted, they're going to do it without fans, so that right away is something that's different. But will they be the same players? Will Stephen Curry hit the court? Will LeBron James? Will some of the other names, Damian Lillard, some of the other big names, will they make that step out there? There's players out there doing a lot of talking and not even playing and trying to make decisions for other players, which maybe not a good thing. But again, if you believe Kyrie Irving, there's only 20 guys getting paid. Yes, and he's one of them, but yet they're making decisions for all of us, and he sees it as a way of dividing them. I don't know if I agree with the statement, but it's there. I somewhat want to believe and agree with Dwight Howard and what he has to say about it. So I see both sides. I also see what business is. I also see how people look at the world and what's going on as far as athletics, whether it be in music, back in the day where, let's just be honest, black people were out to entertain white people, whether it be through their music or in reality within the sports. And is that systematic racism at play here? Could be. Good, bad, or indifferent, guys. It is something that's there. And I don't know. It just depends on how you feel. Guys, we are in a different day and age, guys. Am I worried about sports? I don't know. Are we worried that the Couch Potato Sports Show is not going to be what we normally are used to? I don't know. Here's what I'm going to do. Roll with the flow. I'm going to see how this whole thing rolls down, and we'll end up and talk about whatever we can talk about. And I don't want to be able to quash or silence someone that wants to talk about racial or social injustices within this world, because they are meshing today. There are people out there that believe that there is a responsibility for some people to be out there marching, talking, and being the leader within this movement. And people are criticizing people who are not doing it. When I know for a fact, I've spoken to some athletes across this country that feel that other people are more equipped, better versed, and have a better influence than some people do. It'd be like me going out in the radio land and people listening to what I've got to say about it more so than somebody else who is more educated. Now, I'll have my opinions. They're up on my show. If you ever want to hear it, it's there. But people aren't going to listen to Sonny Clark. So there's something to think about there as far as the world. Depends on what kind of influence are out there. This whole thing, in reality also, and I'll put this out because I normally don't talk politics, but our president, and I don't care what any Trump believer thinks. I won't. I don't respect the opinion that Trump is not fueling the fire for this. There is absolutely nothing in my mindset that tells me that Donald Trump is not a big supplier of the reason why that we're in this situation today, especially regarding the protests. So they wouldn't be outside of the White House and having to put up a gate. Who's responsible to get out there to get that message out? Do not, and this is just a belief, do not put it on certain people that have to make that movement based upon their popularity, whether it be LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, or anybody. Beyonce, I've been hearing people talking about other people not jumping in on this and making their statements and their feelings known. And again, I go back to the fact that some people will go ahead and let other people talk about it because they're more versed, more intelligent, more wanting for it to be. So it's not put down and not seen as a serious situation. I get it. I don't fault Beyonce. I don't fault some of the people in the world not talking about this. I don't, because maybe they feel someone else is better versed to do it. And I don't think that they should have to come out and say, hey, I'm not doing it because I don't feel it. I don't think they should have to do that. There are a lot of other people out there talking and taking care of business, and that's the way they look at it, and I don't see good, bad, or indifferent in it. Their actions speak louder than words kind of situation. Yes, I get it, but I'm going to tell you that I think, and I could be wrong, this could be the naive Sonny Clark that is out here. I believe most black people are on the side of this situation that's going on today. And I know I am. I'm all for it. Matter of fact, I hope they continue to protest, because I think they should have done this years ago. And they dropped the ball years ago. Now there's an opportunity. And that opportunity is right there, ready to go. So whether or not it's the NBA, whether it is the NFL, I don't know. But I will tell you that as we move forward in this world, we are going to find that this is going to be a subject that will not go away now. And the reason being is the actual look of our world today is so different than it has ever been. There's a place up in Seattle where they closed down the police department. You don't think that's a big statement out there? I think that's a huge statement to where we are in our world today. That being said, I'm going to jump into our commercial. Bottom of the hour, I'm supposed to have my guests on, okay, which is in a few minutes. So that being said, since we have a few minutes, we're going to run in. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the other things. We're going to jump into Major League Baseball. We're going to get Andrea or Lenny Melnick, either the godfather of fantasy sports or the goddess of fantasy sports, or both of them have both royalty of fantasy sports right here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. We'll talk the Major League Baseball. We'll talk about the schedules. We'll talk about who's getting paid. We'll talk about who's not getting paid, what should be happening, what's their opinion on who should get paid and why and what. We'll do that here all on the bottom of the hour when we bring in Lenny Melnick and, of course, Andrea, the fantasy gurus that I call them. We'll take the quick break here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. You're watching Monday Morning Quarterbacking with me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio. We'll be right back.
Being taken for a ride? Check out Costco Insurance, serving Texans since 1981. Bundle your home, auto, or business insurance to save a ton. Costco Insurance on the corner of Main Street and Rowlett Road, where we make insurance fun. Or check us out on the web at CostcoInsurance.com, where we always have the coffee pot on.
Yeah, but is it fresh?
Let Buffalo Creek Doors and Floors help you restore your home to its like-new condition. Need a contractor? Let us be your first stop as well as your last. Want to see what kind of work we do? Check out our Facebook page and you can see the craftsmanship you'll receive and expect from Buffalo Creek Doors and Floors. Give Rodney James a call at 214-536-2607 or check him out on the web at www.buffalocreekdoorsandfloors.com. At Wesson General Contracting Incorporated, we're your one-stop shop for all your general contracting needs. So roofing, gutters, sidings, fence staining, painting, foundation problems, or roof damage are no problems at all. Give us a call at 214-200-5588. That's 214-200-5588. Wesson General Contractors, proud sponsor of the Rowlett Eagles radio broadcast. At Nest Egg Wealth Advisors, we have found many people either approaching or currently in retirement failed to truly maximize some of the benefits offered to them, primarily Social Security. It's simply not a benefit that you start receiving at age 62. If you would like a complimentary copy of Social Security Maximization, please give our office a call today at 972-412-6064 or visit us on the web at nesteggadvice.com.
Ever want to know why Bill and I look so good on our broadcast? Check out K West Designs on Facebook. You can take a look at our pictures and see the quality of the work that comes from K West Designs, especially if you have a special occasion. Just get on Facebook, look up K West Designs right in the search bar, contact them directly for questions or anything that you may have regarding your personal design. Liberty Air and Heat. Everybody knows what the Texas Heat can do to your air conditioning and heating systems. That's why you need the experts that deliver the best and most honest service in the Rowlett area. We provide the high-quality air conditioning and heating services that keep you more comfortable when you need it. So contact Liberty Air and Heat at 469-678-9444 or visit them on the web at libertyairandheat.com.
There is nothing that beats good home-cooked barbecue. Since 1941, whether you want real Texas brisket, Virginia ham, southern pulled pork, or fall-off-the-bone ribs, Dickey's Barbecue is the place to go. Come visit us today at 5701 President George Bush Turnpike, Suite 110 in the Target Shopping Center. For lip-smacking, rib-tickling, knee-slapping, foot-stomping, great-tasting barbecue, come see us at Dickey's Barbecue today.
We are back here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. Me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio, here on our new tradition. This is Monday morning quarterbacking, depending on what goes on the offseason here in the NFL. Obviously, a lot of times we're on at noon on Sunday covering what we're going to cover in the sporting world. Again, my daughter graduates from high school and college Friday, high school, Saturday, gets her associate's degree, and I got two kids. Okay, I'm gonna mess up. I got two kids, college graduates. I'm so proud. It's something, a lot of hard work. Of course, I'm the hardest working man in sports radio, but they're ready to go. Now, we talked about the NFL. We talked about how I don't believe Roger Goodell. I don't believe anybody who reads a statement. All I got to do is go back to Ryan Leaf, and I can think of many people who have made statements that aren't there. We've heard what's going on in basketball. Guys, we are in a different world. So now what's going on in basketball with the scheduling and everything that's going on in scheduling, are they going to play or are they not? They were all set and ready to play. Now they're not going to play. Or are they going to play? Hell, who knows? Then we got Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball has been all over the place, and guys that have been on top of this story way more than I have, okay, understand the ins and outs on how this whole thing works is the professionals. And I'm talking about professionals, and I say guys that are in sports talk radio, okay, it's one thing to know sports. It's another to know the players. It's another to know their tendencies. And that's what we get with our guest that's coming on here, is a woman who knows baseball. And I'm telling you, I'll put this out with all confidence in the world. She knows more about Major League Baseball than 95% of the men in this country, if not 99. She knows a hell of a lot more than I do. I'll bring her on. She is the fantasy goddess herself. It's Andrea Lamont. Oh, look how, oh, geez, and gorgeous as well. How you doing
Thank
this
you.
morning? Well, morning for me, evening for you. How you doing?
Middle of the afternoon for me. Doing fine. Thanks for inviting me. I just got my mom called me this morning and said, some guy called here for you and called you Andrea and said his name was Sunny. And I was like, oh, I know exactly who that is. So she, of course, she's not giving out any information to strangers, but she called me right away. And then, so now I'm here. I wish I had more answers about the MLB debacle that we have going on. Although I we're all waiting for a couple things. Are you ready for me to tell you what I know?
Yeah, go ahead. Let us know what you think about it. Now, we're on a delay. For what reason, I don't know. But since I know it's there, we'll be set. Just so that you know. So for folks that are watching, there might be a little delay for her to answer the question. So that being said, let's go into it. Now, they're talking Major League Baseball. They're talking about rebooting the system. They're talking about going ahead and playing, like, I guess, 80 some odd games or whatever the case may be. I want to get your take up on how that's going to work. And maybe if you know where that's going to take place. At one point, I thought it was going to be Florida and Arizona, so they have plenty of places to play. Hell, I don't know if that's the case or not. So what does Andrea know about that portion of the situation, the 86 games?
We've been keeping good track of what's going on because we talk about it every week on our show. And so the 82 games thing is not going to happen, unfortunately. So back in March, MLB, the Players Association, and the owners, it's two different sets of people. They're fighting. They're arguing back and forth. The owners against the Players Association. They came together in March and they decided that they would they would do a deal. One side would get, the players would get a full service of playing time, a full year of service time, and then the owners wouldn't have to worry about any lawsuits, and they wouldn't have to worry about paying the full salaries to the players, because the players agreed that they would accept prorated salaries based on how many games they play. So they would get paid by the game. Well, then the owners came back and there was a stipulation in this agreement that nobody paid attention to, apparently. I'd be like firing everybody in the Players Association, because that nobody paid attention to the fact that the ownership put a stipulation in the contract in a different section that says we would have to make reasonable changes if there's no fans in the stadium. So, of course, now there's no fans in the stadium. But honestly, this whole story doesn't even have to take place, because, in my opinion, they're going to have fans in the stadium. They're not going to have the baseball parks packed. But why won't they be able to have some fans in the ballparks? Why won't they be able to sell a fifth of the tickets, make sure everybody has plenty of room? It's not like, ballparks are super small and cramped. You could sell enough tickets to every game to make up for the loss that the ownership says they're going to have to sustain a loss. For every game that they play, they say they'll lose like $2 million or something ridiculous. Well, the player said, show me the books. Of course, MLB waits till the very last minute, and a week goes by and nobody hears from MLB until like a day before it's time to renegotiate, and they're not offering what they wanted to see. So the players are like, a lot of people would look at it like, why are these players so greedy? They make all this money and all these people are out of work right now. And the thing is that if you allow your boss to make you work without paying you, it's a leash where if you give a little, they take a lot. We all know that. We all work, we've all had jobs, and
Yep.
So it's not really about the fact that they make a ton of money. A lot of them don't make a ton of money. In fact, like 65% of Major League Baseball players make less than $1 million a year. And what about the minor league players? They have nothing. These antitrust laws that baseball has been able to get away with for the last 80 or 90 years, they protect MLB from having to allow the minor leaguers. So let's say that you get let go by your minor league team. You're a minor leaguer, and they say, okay, we're just going to let you go. We're not paying you. They don't have any obligation to pay them. In fact, each team, if they paid every minor leaguer in their system, it would cost each team $1 million for the entire year.
Wow.
So it's hard to fathom, like, how these owners don't find that it's important to make sure that these kids have enough income to at least not live in their mother's basement, right? So anyway, the players were so smart in this situation because they started coming together and saying, if you won't pay the minor leaguers, we'll pay them. We're going to pay our own minor leaguers because we were there and we understand what it's like to make such little money for the several years that it takes to get to the major leagues. I mean, no wonder everybody chooses football over baseball. I would too. I mean, you get to play right away. These people, I hear sounds.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Go ahead.
Are you making sound effects? Okay. Anyway, back to the agreement. So they're negotiating back and forth about what the player salary is going to be. And of course, the owners are like, they've offered the same offer, the same pay in like 3 different costumes. So there was a tweet up by it was Daniel Descalso. He posted a tweet of a conversation between MLB and the players. And it was like, MLB says, okay, we'll give you 6 donuts. And the Players Association says, no, thanks. That's not good enough. And then they say, okay, we'll give you 2 sets of 3 donuts. No, never mind. And then okay, how about 3 sets of 2 donuts? It's all the same. And like what it comes down to is that MLB has the right, Manfred has the right to just say we're playing baseball and force the teams into playing, like the players into playing at some point. And it comes down to the minimum number of games that it would take to get to the postseason. Because another thing that people don't really know about that I've been learning, and by the way, I'm not learning any of this because they've been like transparent or anything in baseball. MLB and the ownerships have leaked the information that they want. I guess they learned this from our own government. You know, if you want people to know something, just leak it to the media, and then we'll figure out what the fans think, what the players think by that, and then we don't have to waste making the offer and them rejecting it. So they leak out what they're about to offer, which is revenue sharing. Right now, the players are supposed to take 50% of revenue shares, right? They want to give them 50% of their prorated salary. Now, if you think about this is no joke. Already cut their pay in half because there wasn't going to be any more than half the games.
Right.
So that's what they agreed to, fine. It's cut in half. Now, take another half of that.
Wow.
And, you know, the more money you make, the more money you spend, the more billions you have, you know, like not everybody is Mike Trout. Not everybody is Bryce Harper making $40 million a year. I mean, they're, like I said, 65% of baseball makes less than $1 million. What about them? So the players are like, well, and of course, I'm sure you heard about the pitcher, Blake Snell.
Yes.
I don't know if you heard about that.
Yep.
Like
we talked about it briefly.
Right. Okay. So it was mostly his tone that I didn't like, but either way, it's true. They shouldn't have to take on extra risk and take a third of their salary or less. But if they play no games, they get nothing. So what's 100% of prorated times 0? It's 0. So anyway, it's come to the fact that everybody's waiting. It could come out today. This is a big day. The MLB has made offers. They've counter offered. Nobody's happy. MLB Players Association finally said, we're not making another offer to you.
Right.
And so it's unfortunate. And then MLB puts out a statement saying, you know, the Players Association refuses to work with us in any meaningful way and all this nonsense, which just once again adds to the fact that MLB is showing their true colors. They're showing where they stand. They're showing these people are billionaires. They bought a business. They bought a team. The players aren't expected to get revenues when they make a ton of money every year.
Yes.
Big deal. You're going to lose money this year. That's the risk you take when you own a business. Why are you putting it on the players to, you know, like I said, my opinion is that they never share the revenues. They never share the extra with the players. So why are the players supposed to be responsible for?
Well, let me just jump in. Let me ask you a question about that, because my understanding, and of course, I'm not intelligent in the dealings of that, My understanding is that they were to get some of the profits and things, or maybe is that just the NFL where they're actually dabbling in some of the profits of the NFL?
So it was for this year only. The revenue sharing was a way for MLB to guarantee that they don't owe all this money, because that's really where they'd lose money. Like if nobody's coming to the games, they're going to lose money every game. So their whole goal is to keep the payroll down. And they said, we'll share 50% of our revenue. Think of it. It's not just what you take in. It's what you take in minus all of the expenses that you have to pay out. And if we're talking about a team like Atlanta,
yes,
this team is going to lose a lot of money. They don't just own the ballpark. They own all the hotels around it, the restaurants. Well, that was your decision. And, nobody was expecting this to happen. But this is why you take risks, because you also benefit from the money that you're going to make should it pan out, which it does every year except for this year. So, no, it wasn't going to be like NFL, where the NFL players actually do have a hand in the cookie jar. So they, of course, are interested in that. But why should like I said, why should the players now take the losses with the ownership? But never have they ever offered to share the revenue, like the profits.
If they had the contract or within the Players Association to where they were getting some of those profits, I think I'd see where the point is coming from ownership. The fact that they're not putting it out, the fact that they're not sharing, the fact that I think I'm right there with you. They're the ones that are taking the risk. This is what you got to do in order to make money within this business. Okay, so you take that risk, but if you want other people to take that same risk, you got to put them part of that profit. But now, that being said, what you were talking about, and last time we were on air, I kind of made the quick statement, is that most of these stadiums, and I'll say most, because you always got New York, you always got Boston, you always got the Dodgers, you always have all these other, but the majority of these stadiums are empty. Freaking every single game. I mean, they're empty. So I'm not falling for the fact that they can't have people in the stands on this and do what they need to do and do the social distancing. Now, granted, whether or not you want to sit way the hell out there, that would be on whether or not you want to purchase that ticket. But I'm not falling for the fact that they can't put people in the stands for these in order, especially in Major League Baseball. Maybe not the NFL, but Major League Baseball, I'm not falling for it.
NFL is even considering not having fans, right? Yes. Aren't they like ready? They're ready to play. They're like, forget this nonsense. I mean, we all have a right to have our own point of view on where we stand with social distancing and masks and stuff like that. But I think it's all for naught. It's like all just a wasted conversation. At the end of the day, by the time baseball is ready to play, the ballparks will have a way to get people into this park. They will take temperatures. They will, put little dots down where you could stand in line to get a beer. It will be like my dream come true going to a game with not so many people. I am. I don't care if I have to sit in the third level. I want elbow room. I want to sit on the aisle. I want to get beers, go pee, whatever. I don't even think that this conversation is even worth having, except for the fact that now we know where baseball stands as far as like what they actually care about. Yep. And, some teams had decided to pay their minor league players, like Kansas City Royals. I give them a lot of credit. They were like one of the first teams that said, we're paying our minor league players the amount of money that they would make, $400 a week. Big deal. It's $400 a week. It's
and what is that to an NFL or a Major League Baseball franchise? It's nothing, especially since they're not paying for the facilities and everything else, and for them to throw $400 for those players all day long, that's nothing. That's a drop in the bucket.
It's just disgusting. And like I told you earlier, that the team players were starting to get together and saying, we're like David Price, for instance, he said, I'm paying every minor leaguer in the Dodgers organization that's not on the 40-man roster.
That is so sad. Players got to do that.
$1,000 a piece. It's like 48 players or whatever. It's a chunk of money. And then here's now the public knows who's greedy. Now the public knows, because the players were like, that was the most brilliant idea I could ever imagine. I don't even know if they did it on purpose, but the next team that did it was the Nationals players. They said, if you're not going to pay, we'll pay the players. So then immediately the Nationals decided they were going to pay their players. And then you got Scott Boras, the agent. This guy is set to make
he is so smart.
$27 million. Or he's like the number 15th highest paid player. If you were to compare him to the players, Scott Boras is ranked number 15 as far as yearly salary. He said, I'm paying all of my clients. Every client that I have is getting paid right out of his own pocket. Yep. He saw what the Nationals did. He was like, he's not a stupid man.
Absolutely.
So, and like I said, I've been getting my information from Trevor Bauer and his agent, Rachel Luba, because Trevor Bauer went to school with this girl. I don't know if they're just friends. I mean, come on, they spend a lot of time together. But either way, they're always talking about what's going on. She's his agent. She's a lawyer. She's this. She started her own agency, and they go back and forth for like an hour at a time. They talk about what the negotiations are, and I've gotten more information from YouTube watching Trevor Bauer and agent Rachel Luba than I've gotten from Twitter, MLB, and all of this combined.
Yeah.
And today MLB is going on a call with the Players Association, and because the Players Association finally said, we're not making any more proposals. We're done because we don't feel like it's, we don't feel like your side. They don't feel like that side. Nobody feels like the other side is being fair. Mm-hmm. And Manfred is going to basically enact his rightfully duty that says, you're playing baseball on this date. We're playing 50 games, just enough to get to the playoffs. I was starting to say earlier that MLB makes a lot of money during the playoffs. That's where they make all their money. The more playoff games, the better.
That's a chunk. If it's not 50%, whoever's getting the numbers wrong. Because let's be honest, how many people are going to sit and watch 162 games every single day? The more money is coming within the last 3 weeks of the season going into the playoffs, without question.
Absolutely. And the players don't get paid extra for the playoffs. They get paid a share. They get shares.
Yep.
They have to decide where these shares go.
And they were talking about that as well, as far as this new arrangement, this new setup that they were going to try to do.
Yeah.
And they still had that part of what they were going to do. Well, they had to do that because, let's be honest, the players and the Players Association are not that stupid. They know what we knew. And the way I look at it, Andre, and I might be wrong, but when I start thinking about these kind of things that I'm thinking about it, these people know this before I do. I'm not creating any kind of revelation out there going, by the way, that's right. That's how it's happening. They know this crap beforehand. They know what they're doing ahead of time, too.
I think the Players Association pretty much stinks. They are not doing their job.
I agree.
I mean, you pay this union all this money. Now, unions, they have good and bad. In this case, a union is obviously necessary for the players. Okay, fine. They're so busy worried about a salary cap. They're so busy worried about, like, you need to hire a new negotiator or something because you're not very good. And
yes.
and Rob Manfred he's basically an extension of the ownership. He works for the owners. The owners, think about that. I mean, he's not on the player side. He's on the ownership side. So the fact that the person in charge of Major League Baseball is working for the owners and not the players, it's a sad situation.
That should tell you something. Should tell you something. And makes you kind of wonder if he's double dipping. And that's my only problem when I look at it. Again, I'm not creating any revelation, but something in my mind, and it goes back to Roger Goodell, okay? Sometimes you got to fall on the sword for your interest. And Roger Goodell again, I'm not believing Roger Goodell's statement, okay?
He's a ridiculous retard,
all day long. And in fact, I played it twice on how the fact of the matter is that announcement by Roger Goodell is an embarrassment. It's a complete and utter embarrassment. And they're looking at it as something that's a positive, and it's not. And I think there's a lot of double dipping going on, and especially in Major League Baseball, whether it be the Players Association, because let's be honest, they got those teams are very capable of getting in the pocket of the people who are supposedly leading that whole thing and getting paid double time on what they're doing. So their interests, which should be the players, are not always being represented.
I don't even blame business owners for having their number one interest as a profit. But don't forget that without your employees and without the people playing the game, nobody is making a profit. And so you have to balance this between what's the most important. Like you need both. So
Right.
take care of your players, because it costs you this little amount of money and it's going to affect the game of baseball moving forward. They have negotiations coming up because they have a new agreement that they have to deal with, and Major League Baseball is talking about cutting all these minor league teams.
Yep.
So they're not, to answer your question from earlier, they're not going to be playing in Arizona or Florida. Everybody's playing at their own home ballparks. They're probably going to have spring training at home in their own ballparks so that they don't have to travel and all that. That's super smart. But the minor leaguers are the most important part of the future. And
they're being left out and no one's even talking about them. And
they've been getting ripped off. I mean, these players
They're
can't
the
even
small business that keeps that economy going. And that's the way I look at this whole situation. You can sit there and talk about the Major League. You can talk about the Walmarts. You can talk about the Walgreens, Safeco's, and all these other companies that are out there that are, quote unquote, would be considered the Major League. But the small business owners is the ones that are carrying the backbone of this country.
Absolutely.
On the, and the simple fact of the matter is they don't have a minor league thing. They're just taking guesses on kids coming out of college. And that has never been the plan of Major League Baseball. And it's been a major portion of what they do as far as their future is concerned. And that is where the Players Association have dropped the ball, and why they are not part owners in reality and profit sharing and everything makes no sense to me. Zero.
Well, the Players Association doesn't represent the minor leaguers.
Right.
Number one.
Yeah.
That's horrible. The agreement between Major League Baseball and minor league baseball is that they are affiliated with Major League Baseball, so that helps with revenues at the ballparks. But the communities that these minor league ballparks are in, you talked about the baseball parks being empty already, and that's very true in a lot of stadiums. That is very true. Not at the minor league level.
No.
This is where
they're at 60% capacity, and that's the last number I heard. That when they have a minor league baseball game, it's 60 to 65% occupancy in that game, and they play a lot of games as well. But they draw more people per percentage of the stadiums.
There's a lot of there might be too many minor league teams. Okay, I could see getting rid of a couple of them. I mean, every team doesn't need 5 minor league affiliates, but when you go to these communities and you can go to a game for a lot less money, okay, the ballparks have
minor league sports.
They've gotten better. They are so much better because the food at
by
these
far.
It's what?
By far. By far, minor league sports is by far better than the National Football League, better than Major League Baseball, better than the NHL. And if you get down to the D League and watch some D League basketball, I'm telling you right now, you want to talk about fundamentals of the game that we always talk about, which is not in existence in the Major League sports. You see it right there on the minor leagues, which is what makes it so great. And the fact that people miss that, and you can say, man, I remember watching Leon Bull Durham, in the minor leagues in Springfield, Illinois, playing baseball. And I can sit there, and he's one of my all-time favorite players. But I'm telling you right now, and you can dig back to that story, that's much better story than what these guys are making, the millions and millions of dollars that they're doing on the major league level.
Oh, and I mean, look at it. You could see because they play with such heart. They want to make it to the majors. They want to make it to professional. So they play hard and they ride around on buses. They don't get to have the luxury of nice hotels. They literally are budget traveling.
Yeah,
right?
They got a room and a bed, and that's about it. And that's where the drive and passion are. And when you're watching a minor league hockey game, and you would see a guy check his grandmother in the corner, that's the passion I love to watch.
For sure.
Because you don't. Let's be honest, you don't get that on the NFL level. You don't get it on Major League Baseball because of the fact of the matter is your injuries could cost you your monetary situation, which would be your contract. Now, Major League Baseball, the good thing about players as far as Major League Baseball is concerned is their contracts are guaranteed when they sign it. obviously, compared to this, more so than the NFL.
Yep.
You only get what is put in a bonus or whatever the case may be, and they can always change it, and they always do. Now, that being said, the NHL, they do get their money as well. So that part I know, and so do basketball players. The NFL is the only one that are not caught up to it, but that's that's the excuse Major League Baseball uses for that, isn't it? They fall back up on the fact that their contracts are guaranteed more so than the profit sharing. That's the reason why they don't want any part of it.
They don't want a salary cap, and so maybe Roger Goodell, instead of yapping, okay, because we sure see a lot of yapping going on right now. I just can't stand the yapping. I can't stand the guilt. I just feel like if you feel passionate about something, you feel like you could make a difference, then make a difference. Don't tell me that you think that you should or that you're going to or any of that. Do something real. Right. And Roger Goodell, seriously, I believe nothing that comes out of his mouth since he completely denied the CTE for years, even though he knew he did everything financially possible to keep the public from knowing that these footballers were getting CTE because their head is smashed into the ground over and over and over, and your brain can only take so much.
We didn't know that. Of course, Sonny knew about it. Of course, Sonny knew about it in 1985 when he played high school football. Okay, all right. So the fact that Roger Goodell is supposedly smarter than me and makes more money than me didn't know about this. Oh, duh. I don't. And that's one of the main people think I'm nuts, but I go back. I use that because I played the game. I knew what I was going into, and I knew after I got my first head pounded in the game, Sonny walked away from this. I don't have much of a brain anyway. I don't need it to be more much than what it was. And the fact that he denies it, and the fact that when he comes out and says the way, I'm giving up my salary for the rest of the year. Oh, that's so disingenuous when you make $42 million.
You're kidding me.
I don't feel so bad for Roger Goodell. He looks at it as an investment. It's sick.
$42 million a year. You're kidding. $
42 million. That's not a joke. Anybody can look it up. And not only that, think about this, Andrea. The NFL, this is what they quote unquote report as what they make. The Dallas Cowboys, okay? Just use the big one. Make quote unquote 950 million. I don't believe that number. I think it's higher.
What?
Okay? 950 million profit each year. And they make more than what this is being reported. I'm looking at this thing from a source that supposedly has it all. But the simple fact of the matter is, if you honestly think that the Dallas Cowboys are only making $950 million as a franchise, you're an idiot. I mean, these people, the Dallas Cowboys is the biggest team across this country. Same thing with the New York Yankees. As much as we want to hate them, let's get real now. Okay, they make most of the money. So, but how much is not actually being put out there? How much is not being reported? So these numbers, I think they're way off on a tangent, and that's what happens. The Major League Baseballs, the NFLs of the world use these altered numbers to make it look like they're suffering. And I'm sorry, I can't feel sorry for Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys.
And I can't feel bad for the owner of the Oakland Athletics because they can't pay their rent. But guess what? They're that's another thing with these antitrust laws. It doesn't just affect. It's the only sport in all of professional sports in this country that have this antitrust carve out where they can decide whether or not a team can move cities. They can decide about the minor league system when they bring them up. They have this. They've been screwing the minor leaguers for years. When they're ready to come up, they leave them down because they want to own them for, they want to keep control over them.
At 400 a head. What a bargain is that? I mean, even if you miss on 3/4 of the team that's down there, you're making a hell of a big profit. Right?
Well, yeah, the difference between what the minimum for a minor leaguer is and the minimum for a major league is a big difference. And it's
what is that number? Do you know those numbers? I know you know major league.
I think it's like
minor league.
It's right around. It's not enough for the minor leagues. The major leagues, 500,000.
The minimum is 400 a week, isn't it? I'm just
spring training.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
400 a week is about what they make throughout the season. They don't make a lot of money.
No.
They do make enough to live on, but barely. We've all as you grow up, you don't just have lots of money when you're young. But they also get signing bonuses a lot of the time. The good ones that
they
holds
get fed,
them over.
they get room and board, yeah.
But the people that lose their jobs because of this pandemic, these minor leaguers cannot just go play in Mexico. They can't just go play for another league. That antitrust carve out keeps the monopoly on Major League Baseball, where you can't, if you wanted to start another baseball league, you can't just go out and have another baseball league. Mm-hmm. Just like you can with football. They have indoor football or whatever, and you're not allowed to do that in baseball.
Yeah, so, and they can't go. What's the one that's actually playing? Korea playing. And they can't go over there. I mean, because they're literally under contract based upon with the antitrust law more so than what they're actually being able to put in their pockets. It's a totally different thing.
So if you own me, basically that's what it sounds horrible.
Then I don't have to pay you now.
Then why shouldn't you pay me then? Absolutely. If I can't go and get another job, nobody wants to hire me on a temporary job because they got to do all the training and stuff to get me going, and then I'm going to leave.
Absolutely.
And the major leagues cannot, in my opinion, I'm one of the only ones that says this, so don't take it like I'm trying to tell you fact here. It's just my opinion that Major League Baseball cannot have a season without the minor league system going.
There's absolutely no way.
Their agreement is that the minor league teams have players available when the MLB needs players to come up, and that's their only obligation.
That's the reason why.
So they're talking about a taxi squad for baseball. I don't know if you've heard that.
About that.
I know you're very familiar with what a taxi squad is.
They'll never work. They'll never work because there'll be too many arguing about who and what player can go where, and that'll never work. So if that's actually a way that they're going to try to throw that in, that's going to be a sad thing. Guys, we're listening. We got on the fantasy goddess, Andrea Lemon. I appreciate her time as we're talking Major League Baseball. And guys, we don't do a lot of talking about Major League Baseball up on this show, but if we're going to get it, we're going to get it from the guys that know it. Now, that being said, if and when, let's try this. If and when they decide to do this, whether it's 82 games, 50 games, or whatever they're going to try to do.
They will. They're going to do it.
Huh?
They're going to do it. They're going to force the players to do it.
Yeah, but here's the question: how are you guys going to do fantasy baseball? I mean, my gosh, you're talking this is your neck of the woods. How do you do this? I mean, how do you decide on what guy to take? Based upon a shortened season, you would think that he's fresh and ready to go, but maybe he's not really fresh and ready to go. How do you make a determination on what person that you're going to pick up for your fantasy league?
Okay, well, a lot of our main drafts, like Labor and Tout and these expert leagues that we play in, the drafts have already taken place.
Are they thinking about redrafting or no?
I have no idea. Like for me personally, I think we should a couple.
I think it should be fresh.
Some people think that every league should redraft. There's a lot of reasons why that I understand. There's a lot of reasons why you can't just redraft in every league. Like Tout Wars is a big ordeal, right? Mm-hmm. It's a whole weekend in the city. It's constant. It's drafts. It's like a lot of work to put this thing together. We actually canceled the Tout Wars weekend because of COVID, and we did our drafts online. So in all honesty, it wouldn't be that hard to draft over in Tout Wars, but Labor is a live event, and they have NFBC, the main events. They canceled that in Vegas. Those need to be considered because there's a lot of money on the line.
Absolutely.
For me, I will draft all the time. I will draft every month if I could. I would love to draft, and I'm not a big fan of
refresh.
Yeah, get it on. I will redraft. However, a lot of the reason that's being used for redrafting is that what about the players that are going to opt out? There are players that are going to opt out, whether it be based on the fact that they have underlying health conditions or about they don't want to risk injury because why should I? If I have a contract about to sign on the line, if I'm in, if you're Mookie Betts, what do you do? Mookie Betts was traded from the Red Sox to the Dodgers. He has 1 year left on his contract. He's a free agent after last year. The Dodgers might not ever get to have one game with Mookie Betts. But the thing is, if Mookie Betts decides not to play based on the fact that why should I risk injury when I got $300 million on the line?
Absolutely. Are they going to hold that against them, or are they going to give them the option on whether or not they're going to play? I don't think they are, because the fact of what you said, they're held hostage. They don't have any other choice, and then they're going to make them play.
They're not going to make the players opt in. The players are going to be allowed to opt out. it's at their own discretion. If they don't have underlying health conditions that the doctor and that they can prove,
Right.
because if they can prove that, they
Right.
will just be basically like an injured player because
Right.
they are guaranteed. I mean, look at Jonas Cespedes. He's been injured for the last 4 years. He gets
Absolutely.
paid $30 million, whatever it is. It's a lot.
Yes.
Mookie Betts, if he decides, let's say he doesn't have underlying health issues, I don't even know how they're going to be able to, like, where's the cutoff line? What if you have family at home?
And how
What if
long
your
is
wife?
service too? They got service issues as well. For a year. I mean, how many are going to be good enough? Are they going to say, well, if you play, you're going to get the credit.
Yes,
If you don't,
full
you
year.
won't.
Yep.
And all this other stuff. It's going to be interesting on how they handle that. And to me, it seems like since the fact that they don't even already have that in the works and figured out, it's what scares me. It is. All right, tell me what it is then.
So if you do opt out as a player because for whatever reason other than health issues, you do not get a year of service time. You do not get any service time. Basically, it just forget about this year ever happened.
Do they get to extend the year on the contract?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Their contract will last for another year.
Got it.
So the owners will be happy with that because then, they don't
Players
have to pay
won't.
The players won't. That's the thing. That's why it's up to the player. If they choose, it's the balance act. It's like, well, if I don't play, I don't get paid and I don't get service time. If I do play, then I get paid and service time. It's not as much as I wanted, but why not go play for 40 games and get a full year of service time, especially if you're a youngster?
That's more valuable than the money in reality, especially for guys that are playing for big time contracts in the next couple of years coming up.
For sure. And that's why they traded it. The young people, the young new players like Fernando Tatis, you talk about Vladdy Jr., these guys, they're brand new. They're under contract for however many years. And for them, it's a huge deal to get a year of service time. They've already been paid a certain amount of money. The MLB ownership has already forked out $270 million to the players. And it's the amount that they get is based on what they make in the yearly.
Is that all? Is that
that's all they've given?
Oh, that's pathetic. I'm sorry, that is. That's pathetic because they're the backbone of your team, your organization, your business, and that's not even. I'll put it out there. That's not even 1% of what they'll bring in on what. So it's hard to feel sorry for owners and teams that have quote unquote have to pay their players. It's pathetic.
It's kind of hard to feel sorry for a lot of people in this situation, which is what MLB was trying to do, which makes me that much less of a fan of the owners because they literally set it up so that the players would look like the bad guys.
Right.
And if you're not smart enough to figure that out, that's the problem because there's a lot of people out there that feel that way thanks to the fact that the owners leaked out the information that they wanted the fans to see. And they wanted it to present this idea that the players are being greedy. And they even put out a statement just yesterday.
Well, they underlined exactly what you just said, that the players are being greedy on
this. That they're not making
between the lines on that statement. And that goes back to Roger Goodell. It's pathetic. It was pathetic. And they should have kept their mouth shut, but they didn't. Then because they felt like they could get it out there and make themselves look good in the meantime. And with people with real knowledge of the sport, see, the average fan, Andrea, doesn't know all this. Okay, the people who dig deep into sports like we do, we realize really what's going on behind the scenes in reality, and we can read between the lines of bullshit and things that are not bullshit. And I'm sorry to use the word, but that's what you're getting in Major League Baseball.
I don't care about cursing.
Yeah. But that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing in Major League Baseball. It's a bunch of bullshit is what it is.
And the fans, the normal fans, or just people that don't have a lot of time to be researching all of this, they might not care, but they'll make judgments on who's right and who's wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, I would say that before you make judgments, you should always question what's being presented to you because there's a reason it's being presented to you in this way.
Absolutely.
Like Roger Goodell, it makes me cringe him. He's cringy, so cringy, like way worse than Manfred.
Oh, God.
Manfred's getting to be
by a long shot.
So here's the other drama that's going on in baseball.
Okay.
A while back, DraftKings and the people that were playing, they tried to sue. Yes, we talked about this on the last show or something, but anyway, that case got thrown out. But now the judge is saying you still have to unseal this letter that Manfred sent to the Yankees regarding the sign stealing, regarding using the phone, right, for purposes that it wasn't meant to be. Like,
Right.
why don't they just get rid of? Okay, if you don't want to get rid of replay, that's fine. Hire somebody that works for the umpires.
Absolutely.
Why don't you hire somebody that, as an umpire, that sits there as a third party and like isn't gonna cheat and actually does replay for both sides of the game, right?
Right.
Because one guy sitting in the replay room by himself watching video all day doing nothing else is all it's doing is like encouraging cheating. Why wouldn't you cheat?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
and sad.
But anyway, this letter, Yankees do not want this letter coming out. And I'm a big hater.
I don't, and here's another thing. Forget about the Yankees. I don't think other teams want this thing to go out because they're doing the same damn thing under the table that the Yankees are doing. So I don't even think other teams want this to go out.
I mean, the Yankees were punished. They were punished by, get this,
Punished,
this is their punishment.
That. You got to put that in air quotes, punished.
Their punishment. The Yankees told on the Red Sox, so they started an investigation. They were investigating the Red Sox, and the Red Sox told on the Yankees, so then they investigated the Yankees. They found both sides cheating.
Yes.
Maybe not to the extent of banging trash cans, but they were both not following the rules. And Manfred, like his main job, brush it under the rug, move on. It's quick, nothing to see here. Okay.
Yep.
So, I mean, the punishment was you have to donate a certain amount of money to charity of choice. Rob Manfred's charity of choice.
God. Oh, it's pathetic.
Now this letter's coming out, and the Yankees have now filed. They were supposed to come out. They say the 20th. Yeah, I thought it was coming out today. Then I read further. It said that it's due by the 20th. Okay. Well, they've already appealed it in court, and that's exactly why the judge gave them till the 20th, so that they could appeal it if they wanted to. It's like, whose side are you on here? What's the point of this letter? Why do they want to hide it so bad? If they weren't, I mean, that when someone tells me nothing to see here, I'm stopping.
I got to start looking.
Yeah. If they take it away from me, I want to see it.
Absolutely.
Why, if you start saying and you start making a big stink about this one letter that's supposedly from Rob Manfred to the Yankees, they say that it would put people at risk, or it had information that would put people at risk. The only person I could think of it's going to put at risk is Joe Girardi,
yes,
who, by the way, is, in my opinion, probably one of the best managers in baseball. He might be the best manager in Major League Baseball at this time. And I hate the Yankees a ton. I still think he's excellent. I feel bad for him if something comes out that shows that he was cheating, because what do the Phillies do now?
Absolutely. Good point. And, Major League Baseball has got this whole thing now. Looking at I don't know how much time you got, so I'm just going to steal you until we go.
Okay.
With the world of sports is changing. It's not just obviously baseball. It's not just the NFL. It's not even hockey. We're talking about people. Take a look at my background. Okay, this background's the new Texas Stadium right behind me. I'm in the way of the thing.
See it.
The stands. See the people in the stands. Those are the graduates and the fans. See how they had it all spread out, and what we were kind of talking about. This. Listen and. There are a lot of people in the stands, just so the people know, because the school that my daughter attends is huge.
I love that they had it there. That is wonderful.
Oh, it's and not only that, it just reminded me of Chase Field over in Phoenix, because the first year I moved to Texas in 2005. I walked up to Globe Life Stadium, or actually it wasn't even Globe Life. It was the one before that. But I sat out in the stands. I thought I was going to die. It was so damn hot.
How do you even? God, how in the world is this Texas Rangers having a ballpark that doesn't have a retractable?
Unbelievable.
Come on, man.
But this place looks almost identical to Chase Field over in Phoenix, which makes it perfect. Air conditioning. I walked into the place and I'm going to say this. I was actually cold. The air conditioning was so good. I was actually cold. Wish I would have brought a sweater. That's how good it was. And when you can watch baseball in that kind of comfort, but still, I mean, there were, and I just found this out. There were a total of, the people in the stands that you can kind of see. There were over 3,000 people in the stands. Okay, to watch graduation. Okay,
right.
That's $3,000, and look at still how open this is. So the fact that they can't do this in most major league stadiums all over the country, I ain't buying. So it is what it is.
All of this, the reason that baseball, if you were a smart business entrepreneur or whatever they made billions doing something, right? Mm-hmm. Well, why don't you think about the fact that you could have been the very first sport back? You are America's pastime. Why didn't you take advantage of that? Now you're like fighting with the networks about how we can't play it on this, we can't play baseball on this day because we have basketball, football, we have the elections are coming up. It's like you can't, there's no time for you. So you have to get it done by October. And that's the thing. That's what's going to happen. And instead of taking all this time because you're going to miss some income, you're going to miss revenue for the first part of the season, just suck it up.
Yeah. It's like they haven't been losing money, beforehand. It's not like this is going to take, be the, the thing that breaks the camel's back here, okay? Because they're going to still play baseball. So it's ridiculous. That's, even though the Oakland A's are in the situation that they're in, listen, it's not like they're not going to play baseball for the next 15 years. So I'm not buying their quote unquote poverty that they're trying to put out there as well.
In their defense, though, in Oakland's defense, they are paying their minor leaguers. They did it on their own. They decided we're going to pay our minor leaguers. And if Oakland can do it, any team can do it.
Absolutely.
The players can do it. The Dodgers can do it. And you're right. The stands were not full of people. It's not like you had to get a ticket to a game. It's not like you
Kansas City. I'll use Kansas City as an example, okay?
They're another team.
I watch Kansas City because I like the team. Those stands are empty, and this is a former World Series team. Okay, was it 5 years, 6 years ago that they won?
I like Kansas City a lot too. One of our podcasts.
Empty seats all over that stadium, all over the stadium. So yes, I understand COVID. Yes, and I understand that the government was putting a lot of things up on this that made this kind of hard. But at the same time, look at the influence that Major League Baseball has on everybody, whether it be the local areas that they're in, or you don't think that they could have stood up on Capitol Hill and said, hey, let's play some baseball and got what they wanted? I don't believe it for a second. And the simple fact of the matter is that the idea that they had of doing it in Florida and Arizona was the prime idea and perfect situation.
Think about
if they didn't want to do it that way. Because if the season did extend a little bit later and it did get a little bit cooler out, you're talking about the difference of October in New York City compared to Florida. They're going to play some baseball games. So I'm not, we're going to go up against NFL games. You know what? NFL plays on Sunday. They play on Monday. Don't give me all this. Now,
it's not just NFL. It's every other sport too.
And every other sport as
well. The networks. They say that half the income comes from having butts in the seats. Okay, they say that half the income or the revenue comes from the fans in the stands.
Do you believe that? I don't.
I don't know, because there's such a big discrepancy between certain teams. Like some of the big market teams, maybe, but
sponsorship.
You think about the local networks. Like I was reading off a bunch of stats the other day because people talk about how baseball's dying and all this. They're not dying. In fact, they have more people watching baseball than they've ever had. And these local network stations where, like, here we have the Mets channel, we have the Yankees channel, like in Chicago they have the Chicago Cubs games WGN, on channel 9 or whatever, and WGN. These local stations that are showing baseball games are number one in prime time in their local area. So for local television network type things, the baseball teams are making a lot of money. What about the teams that don't have that?
Good point.
That's the same teams that don't have anybody in the stadium, That's the same people. But regardless, I don't feel sorry for you. And it's hard for a lot of Americans to relate to billionaires who say that we're going to nitpick over and we're going to just not have baseball over a couple $1 million. Forget it. It's long-term damage.
It's just like the federal government. I'll just throw this out there, okay? And I don't do a lot of politics up on this show, but the fact that the country's getting $1,200 and other countries in this world are getting taking care of their citizens and stuff, and the federal government sends everybody $1,200 and pat themselves on the back and say, look what we did for you. It's hard to feel sorry for the federal government, especially after all the money that folks like you and me have thrown back into them. So the fact that they throw a little bit back to us, we're supposed to feel sorry for the government, or the fact that why shouldn't we feel like we should get some of this
No,
back?
but you can collect
it's
unemployment.
crazy.
And you'll actually make more money not working than you would
Tell
going
me
back to
about
work.
it.
So,
Tell me about it.
you know.
And because I know many of them and many folks that are out there. So, here's a very valid point from my friend. His name's Thomas Whitney. He's a sports talk with the guys. But the simple fact of the matter is, and that's the number that is not necessarily put out there, Andrea. That's the number that they brush up underneath the rug that no one's talking about.
No. That includes when they talk about the revenue that they're getting from the ballparks. It absolutely includes the concessions, the merchandise, rent.
Do they include all of it though, Andrea? Because I think they're skimming up on top of that too to make their numbers look worse than they really are. This is part of it, especially merchandising and concessions within the stadium. Do you think they actually really report it correctly? To me, I don't know.
I think they kind of have. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know why they would skim off that, but it basically you're relying on the stadium. The baseball parks are half full anyway, and then on top of that, you rely on the people that are there to spend money. It costs a normal family of four like over $150 to go to a baseball game, and then a lot of people can't afford it. That's part of the reason why the stands are empty. I say give any tickets that you haven't sold to veterans and their families. Give them an opportunity to take their family to a game. They deserve to go to a game.
Hero. I mean, I'm sorry. You look like a hero. You go down. There's a place here in Dallas, Texas. It's called Jonathan's Place. These are orphans. These are people who have. These are kids that got no money, and you honestly think that you couldn't just take that whole situation and put up their little asses in seats to watch that game?
Are you kidding me? It's like the best thing you could do as a family when you're young to make new baseball fans.
Great in the community. Oh my God!
Think about the first game you ever went to live. Think about the first game.
Point.
You're a fan of that team to this day. That's how it works. Think about as a family, you remember certain things that you did as a family, or the lucky ones do remember things that they did with their family, but who can afford as a young family to take their kids to a baseball game?
How much did you pay for your first game? I know the answer to this question.
My very first game?
Your first game that you went to. Okay.
None.
What exactly? It's
My
normally
parents.
within a system that you're doing within a club or within
Or your parents take you.
Handing out, and you're probably the reason why you're a Boston Red Sox fan is probably one of those games or something. I don't know.
No,
I'm not sure where. No, you grew up in Washington, didn't you?
I grew up in California. Actually.
California. Okay.
I hate the Yankees. That's why I became a Red Sox fan. I'm kind of mad at the Red
What's your
Sox
team of choice over there in California? And is it the Dodgers?
Right now, I'm rooting for Oakland.
Yeah,
I'm rooting for Oakland. I think Oakland has a chance to win this year.
God,
and
they're loaded at the pitcher position, aren't they? If I was reading
their
correctly,
lineup
and I don't read deep into baseball, their pitching is magnificent coming out of there.
Their defense is great. Their lineup is hard. They have their lineup is scary. I mean, they have some of the best hitters, and I really like the fact that that's one of the things that you could look forward to for this year. Yeah, it's going to be different. Yeah, there's negative. What about the positive? There are going to be some things that we're forced into doing, like the universal DH. I would love to see that. I hope that it sticks. In fact, if it does go through this year with the DH and the National League, I don't think they'll ever go back to the old way. I think that because it's such a short season and you can't really tell who the best team is, but even the worst teams are going to have an opportunity to play, which they never get to have. And there's nothing better than feeling like you can win a World Series. The Pirates are a team that comes to mind.
I was thinking Pirates.
Last year at this time or after 50 games, the Nationals wouldn't even have made the playoffs.
Right.
So
what about the Padres? Where were they? Because
I love
when we were talking last year, that was a baseball team that was primed to make. Finally, over the many years that I've been a closet Padre fan, finally they got something that is the least interesting to watch.
The Padres are a team that is very deep with bullpen, and
that's what I thought. Yep.
Lots of youngsters playing on the Padres, and they are another team. It sucks for them. They're in the division with the Dodgers. Like, how are they ever going to compete with the Dodgers? There's no way they can this year. They can make it. And we have a great friend of ours that lives in San Diego, and he's a big San Diego Padres fan. And these fans have been waiting and waiting and waiting, like Oakland fans, Mets fans, all these, but the Padres actually could beat the Dodgers, which I would love nothing more than to see the Dodgers the Padres against the Athletics.
That'd be cool, right there, all in California, man. You
I'll have
wouldn't
to
have to
go see
drive
my
very
family.
far for both games, and they fill up the stands. I mean, so and it'd be partial A's, partial Padres. It'd be great.
That would be great fun.
God.
So I think there's positives to this season for sure. I didn't see the more chats. I like to see the chats.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, and by the way, we're on with the goddess of fantasy sport, Andrea Lamont. Those are usually on the top. If you're in Streamline, at the top it says comments, and they'll show you if you have comments on it, and you just push the button, and their comments come up against the cross. And
Thomas Whitney.
Yeah, he's with Sports Talk with the Guys. He was part of Sports Talks with the Guys. And knowing some, he even made reference to the big dog up there. So these are the ones that go through. Now, what the StreamYard is, Goody, you have to give yourself permission to go ahead and post to where it can be seen. So you got to put that out there. A lot of times I don't remember it. So he knows who you are because of Sports Talk with the Guys and stuff.
How's Sports Talk with the Guys? You said Big Dog is here.
Yeah,
Big Dog.
Yeah, big dog. I think he's out there watching. He's just not making comments, or I can't see him because he didn't get permission to do so. So that's why you got to tell your fans at the bottom of it. It says at the bottom of where it says can't post comments to some destination. Learn more. Click on that, and then you can make your comments open like Thomas Whitney's doing. So
one time you do that, I noticed that. See, one thing about Zoom, we're using Zoom, we're switching over to StreamYard. It's so much easier because I would love for our podcasters to be able to see the comments on Facebook. We have our own chat room at the website, and I definitely don't want them to leave the website. You know.
But that's the only problem. Yeah.
But this StreamYard, it does it. It's included, and you also get to cast out to more than one place, which in Zoom you can't really do that. You have to have another third-party thing. Anyway, nobody cares about this.
$25 though, guys. If you ever want to get on, it's only $25 now. You only get two places to send it. I send it to Facebook and I send it to YouTube. No one watches on YouTube, so every once in a while I'll put it on Periscope as well. And I've never even been on Periscope ever.
It's very easy to use. I really love the fact that it's so easy to use, and nobody ever comes to our YouTube either, but that's how I can embed it into our website. Like, I don't have to change it for every live show. With Facebook, you have to embed every single live show unless I'm not seeing something, but I've been trying to go, developer Facebook area. I think there's a way. I'm just not, I haven't quite.
Yeah, you gotta and I don't even know how to figure it out because it's too much, and I don't have the brains. But Andrea, always a pleasure. I mean, and you listen. If you ever want to talk, you just call Sonny up, and you got priority. You're going to get in, and hell, I'll create a show just so that you can talk if you wanted to get it out. I don't care. Always
Thank you, Sonny.
And obviously. Much love to you, and hopefully you'll stay safe as well as the fake hair. I mean, Lenny Melnick, guy that he is, got mad love for you. Wish we could see you. And hope. By the way, you talk about guys that go across country. Lenny Melnick and Andrea, they go across the country a lot. I bet you that hurts right now. I mean, because you would be on the road right now, if I'm not mistaken, wouldn't you?
What month is it? No. We would still be home. We would definitely be home. Yeah, because Mark's home for the summer.
You start out after the season. You go to the Arizona Fall League. That's right. If I'm not, that's how you do it, right?
Exactly.
Which, by the way, you want to talk about nobody in the stands? Talk about nobody in the stands, and you're a miss. People in Arizona are completely missing the Arizona Fall League. I mean, they're
no, just ignore. No, don't tell them though, because it's gone to the point where even going to spring training, because we're usually in Arizona for spring training. This year we were in Florida for spring training, but seriously, we don't go to games. I know that sounds ridiculous. What are you doing there? Well, we go there for labor, but honestly, the games, it's now $20 to park. It's $30 a ticket, especially at this new Cubbies Park, Sloan Park.
Oh, and by the way, that's Mini Wrigley. I've been in that place, and I'm telling you right now.
What's up with their scoreboard?
Well, they got to get that fixed. I'm not sure what the hell that's all about. I mean, they got to get that fixed. If they're going to make it authentic, make the damn thing authentic and make sure the scoreboard's right. I agree with you. I'm like,
well, they better put some bars around the perimeter so that you can actually get some drinks.
Exactly. Always a pleasure. Hey, anytime you let us know, and we'll bring you on. And same thing with Lenny. If he ever wants to get on, we'll pop you in, okay?
All right. When I get sick of hearing him talk to me, I'll be like, hey,
I'll talk to Sonny.
Lenny needs to talk.
You got
You're
it.
the babysitter.
Yeah.
Okay,
you
dude.
got it.
Thank you.
Take care of it. She is Andrea. She is the fantasy goddess. And always a pleasure to have her up online. I'll tell you right now, I get more insight from Andrea we had her on for an hour. I get more insight from her within 1 hour than I could sit and read article after article after article on Major League Baseball. The woman knows her stuff, and I kid you not, she knows more than 99% of most men in sports regarding baseball. I would much rather take the word from Andrea than I would from somebody else who is supposedly a beat writer or an expert. I'd much rather listen to her than Lenny Melnick. Check them out over there. All you got to do is put in Lenny Melnick, Andrea Lamont, and they'll pop up to their website. You can get on over there. Check them out on Facebook. They got all kinds of good stuff going on. Not only that, Lenny Melnick is a crazy man, and so I got some mad love for a crazy man, so that's what it is. We are here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. It's Monday morning quarterbacks, but we have moved into the afternoon because guess what? I don't care. I could be on for 2 hours. I could be on for an hour or whatever the case may be. But the simple fact is we haven't been on air for a while. So there's a lot of things that we haven't covered. And guys, I'm going to tell you, this was about a month and a half ago. We were talking here up on the Couch Potato Sports. Actually, it was before the pandemic hit. Okay, and we were talking about certain players in the NFL and whether or not they're Hall of Fame worthy, and I got tore up from many people about Frank Gore. Guys, in the NFL, okay, and I'm just going to say this. There are a lot of players that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. There are many players out there that can, should, maybe not, I don't know, but whatever the case may be. But I want to go to Frank Gore here, guys, because there's a lot of things regarding Frank Gore that I think we need to talk about. As far as his Hall of Fame worthiness. Now, I've talked about Frank Gore being so overrated. And I still am on that bandwagon with a little twist. I might be a little sorry. I might be a little wrong about Frank Gore. I still think he's overrated. I still don't think he is a Hall of Famer. And I have received email after email messages, and when people put it up on there, I say overrated and everything else, and they're like, Sonny, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Guys, I've been watching football. This show is a football game. I'm telling you right now. This show is all about football. We know about people. We know about players. I've been watching them for over 35 years. I know who's good and who's not, at least in my opinion. I'm right 80% of the time, so that leaves an open door for 1 of 5. But I'm not wrong about Frank Gore. Sonny, you're nuts. He's a Hall of Famer. Well, yes. People think that he's a Hall of Famer. Now, guys, I want to put this out there, and the numbers that you got to look is career, okay, for Frank Gore. All right, you're looking at 15 years of service, and this is not included if he decides to play again this year. And the numbers that I have highlighted on there are numbers of over 1,000 yards a season. Now, guys, I'm also going to go back, and I am not going to back off of what I said. Lost audio. Am I still out there? I hope I'm still out there, because I didn't do anything to lose the audio unless my pictures is not working. Nope. My mic is open, so hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully I'm just not talking to myself, but hopefully the hookup. But look at those numbers there, guys. I see, and guys, and I'm not necessarily saying they're not great numbers. Thank you. I'm back. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I want you to look at those numbers of Frank Gordon. They got some good numbers there, 4 years in a row, over 1,000 yards, even over 1,100 in the 1 year, 1,700. I mean, near 1,700. But I want you to look at the number next to 2009, 10 touchdowns. That's the max he ever had in 1 year. That means that a lot of football teams do not have to plan for Frank Gordon. And I look at it in a way, and I may be right, may be wrong. I think I know why I lost my audio. Thanks for letting me know there, Tom. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm looking at these numbers, and I guess if you want to be impressed with 1,000 yards and things of that sort, great, wonderful. That's great. Yes, and those numbers are important, don't get me wrong. But it's what you do with them. And the best year he had was 10 touchdowns in 1 year. The next, he had 8 in 3 years. I think it's 3 years. No, he had 9 in 2013. He had 3 seasons where he had 8. Guys, this is not something that you have to worry about defensively if you're a defensive coordinator, worrying about Frank Gore. Now, guys, I know you're going, Jesus, look at his yards. Look where he is on the list, on how many on the yards. Granted, there's a lot of guys up there that have got a lot of yards, but what did they do with those yards? So I'm not impressed with only the 79 touchdowns he had over a 15-year career in the NFL. I'm not impressed. And I know a lot of people are asking me, Sonny, how can you not be impressed with that? Well, there's a reason why. Because there is a Hall of Famer that is out there, and I know Thomas will love me for this. There is a Hall of Famer out there that has and can make a difference and did make a difference. That is a Hall of Famer. That you look at the numbers as far as yards are concerned, maybe so. I don't know, out of all the people that have listened to this show, and here it is, had some good wide receivers in the slow years, and I think you're right, Tom. But I want to talk about a Hall of Famer that is right there with the numbers. Right there. And let me click the button because I think it will shock you. I'm going to compare him. I'm not going to compare him to Walter Payton. Walter Payton's the greatest of all time, okay? I'm putting that out there, and you Emmitt Smith fans can sit there and argue with me all day long. If Walter Payton had the offensive line that Emmitt Smith had, no one would catch Walter Payton, period, in the discussion. And if you think differently, you're wrong. And yes, I know I'm supposed to respect everybody's opinion, but if you want to say that Emmitt Smith was better than Walter Payton, you would be wrong. But use Emmitt Smith. Use, some of the Barry Sanders, looking at these numbers. Now, I'm not going to use those great. I mean, I'm talking about some big names there, aren't I? Walter Payton. How about going into the Hall of Fame and talking about a gentleman by the name of Marcus Allen? Now, Grant, this guy's in the Hall of Fame, and I don't know if I think he should be, but guys, I want you to take a look at the marks that I've made. Okay, I didn't mark the yards because the simple fact of the matter is when you look at the yards compared to Frank Gore, okay, 1,243 yards. Frank Gore is at 15,347. Okay, so there's a big difference there, okay, in the yardage. But let's talk about the effects of Marcus Allen compared to a Frank Gore, which solidifies why Marcus Allen is a Hall of Famer and why Frank Gore is not, in my opinion. Look at the numbers on touchdowns. 11 in his rookie year. Only 3 for Frank Gore. Back to Marcus Allen. 13, 11, 12, and 12. And then there's a 9 in there as well. 7. This is a guy, 9 in 2000 or 1996. We're talking about a guy that you've got to worry about. Then receiving. I want you to look at that number for Marcus Allen at 5,411, and then look at the number for receiving yards for Frank Gore at 3,800. Then look at the number next to it as far as touchdowns are concerned. Now, I didn't mark it over on Frank Gore's because I'm making the point on the other reason why Marcus Allen is a Hall of Famer and Frank Gore is not. 18 touchdowns. Go back to Marcus Allen, had 21 over that time. Okay? And then I want you to look at the total touches, which is the 3,609 number. Total touches, 3,609. Yards from scrimmage, 17,654. Now, I want you to look at Frank Gore's numbers. Touches, more touches, 19,243 compared to the 17th. And guys, there is no threat for defensive coordinators, which is what makes Marcus Allen a Hall of Famer. When we are talking Frank Gore, we're not talking about a defense that you've got to worry about. You don't have to game plan or never have had to game plan for a Frank Gore, even in his prime. And guys, we can sit here and argue, about his yards and where he is on the numbers, but when they're empty yards, they don't mean anything to me. When they are quality yards, that's when you gather my attention. I don't know about anybody else, but when I'm gathering my attention, I'm looking at Frank Gore and saying, he's the status quo running back, average at best, and everybody wants to pop this guy off as like he's one of the greatest of all times. And guys, he's not even close. Not even close. But yet we got a lot of people that say he can break it out there. Now, granted, you can come up with all the arguments all day long. But I'm going to look at Marcus Allen, and I'm going to tell you right now, Marcus Allen is, and you look at it, 40 more touchdowns than Gore. And yards don't win games. Exactly. It's what you do with those yards, which are the total of the touchdowns, what you can do moving around. And Tom is absolutely right. And I like Frank Gore, but he's not one of the best of all times. He's not even top 20. Hell, he might not even be top 30. And I've been getting messages saying, Sonny, you didn't watch the game. No, I'm going to say that you may have watched the games, but you live too much in numbers that you're looking at the wrong ones. You can sit there and talk about where Frank Gore is. And guys, I guess if you want to call yards impressive, that's fantastic. But I'm gonna put it in here, rushing yards. Because let's be honest, in the NFL, leaders, okay? Because listen, Google has all the answers, okay? So look, and I just want you to look at, the numbers, okay? Frank Gore is at number 3 of all time. He's number 3, okay? Now we're talking Hall of Famers here. Emmitt Smith is a Hall of Fame. I won't take it and get away from him, but I don't think he would have been great without that offensive line. Would he have been a Hall of Famer? I don't know. Guess what? He had the line. That's what ended up happening. Walter Payton, Hall of Famer. Barry Sanders. Adrian Peterson right now is number 5. And guys, I'm telling you right now, I don't necessarily know if I think that Adrian Peterson is a Hall of Famer, but I think he's more of a Hall of Famer than Frank Gore. Curtis Martin is a Hall of Famer. LaDainian Tomlinson, Hall of Famer. Jerome Betts, Hall of Famer. Guys, we're talking Eric Dickerson, Tony Dorsett, even Edrin James, which I don't think is a Hall of Famer, is better than Frank Gore. Franco Harris, Thurman Thomas, even John Riggs, for God's sake. He's not better than O.J. Simpson. Murderer, son of a gun. The guy can run a football. These are Hall of Famers. Joe Perry, if you don't know, look it up. Guys, these are numbers with guys. You can't tell me at the number, let's see here, what number is he at? Number 37, Earl Campbell, that Frank Gore is better than Earl Campbell. Frank Gore can't carry Earl Campbell's jock. I'm sorry, he can't. Larry Zonka can't carry his jock. Not only that, Larry Zonka had a lot more touchdowns receiving as well. Now, we can sit here and argue all day long on who's Hall of Fame worthy and who's not. But I'm telling you right now, when I went over those names, Frank Gore can't carry any of these guys' jock. And if you think that Frank Gore is a Hall of Famer, you are completely blinded by stats and only one of them. And that is 15,347. So be blinded by the yards. But as Tom said, yards don't win games for you. Other aspects of your game is what does it. And good point right here. Where are the numbers there in the red zone? That's where running backs get their coin, guys. I'm telling you right now. Yeah. You're looking at these numbers and you're looking at guys that are there. All right. And I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it the guy that's behind Frank Gore as far as numbers are concerned, Barry Sanders. Now, I don't have this one up. I just did this one on the move. Okay? I want you to listen to something that's going on. Touchdowns in his rookie year, 14. Touchdowns second year, 13. Touchdowns in the third year, 16. Even got 9 his fourth year. Average, he had 11 in 3 years in a row from 95 to 96 to 97. Frank Gore is not Barry Sanders. And not only that, think about how many years that one Barry Sanders played. He played 9 freaking seasons and he had 99 touchdowns. 99. That's Barry Sanders. And Frank Gore has a total of 79. So you can look at the numbers and you can see all those empty yards, and that's exactly what is right. And Tom made it right. In the red zone, where is the team going? In the red zone, they're going different places, and they didn't trust him. And the many years that he spent in San Francisco, from 2005 all the way to 2014, okay, 9 years, 10 years, 10 full years. The guy couldn't get in the end zone, whether that be rushing or receiving. And I'm telling you right now, if you didn't respect Marcus Allen in the open field and out of the backfield throwing the football, he would have burned your ass so much you'd have grill marks on it to where you couldn't even eat the hamburger because it would have tasted so bad. So I'm going to sit here and I'm telling everybody Frank Gore is not a Hall of Famer. He never has been a Hall of Famer, and he should not be a Hall of Famer. There are other names on this list Bang, I'm back. As we're coming up on the top of the hour, we've been on for 3 hours. I didn't know if I was going to do 3 hours, but thanks to the fantasy goddess, Andrea, I could sit and talk, guys, I could sit and talk to her for hours and learn more about the game. Now, one more subject I want to get out there before we're done, just mainly because I did the research on it. I want to talk about a guy because I was hoping that I would get Cuervo up on this show. The Chicago Bears, at their quarterback position, they are in a pickle. They don't have a well-defined number one quarterback. They have Nick Foles, who they just signed, going up against one Mitchell Trubisky. Let me push that out of the way. This is what he says about Nick Foles. He says, in the business that we're in, I've been motivated since the end of last season. I don't feel like, it says, I didn't feel like it went the way we wanted it to go. And we left a lot out there, but I'm excited for this year. I think it's going to be good competition. And he's talking about the competition between Nick Foles and Mitchell Trubisky. And the old saying is when you don't have a standout number one, this is our guy at the quarterback position, you don't have any. Because most Bear fans are flipping the coin on Nick Foles as well as Mitchell Trubisky. Now, what's the difference between Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles is Nick Foles has got a Super Bowl ring. Does that make him automatically better than Mitchell Trubisky? I don't know. Should he be automatically better than Mitchell Trubisky? I don't know. So and I wish Cuervo was here because I think he could answer that question. So the Chicago Bears have got the Detroit Lions. Okay, yes, I'm mentioning the Detroit Lions because we're talking about the third year with their new head coach coming out of New England. If they're going to put it together, it's going to be this year. And right now, with Matthew Stafford as the man in Detroit, how can you put the Chicago Bears, and I know Cuervo would kill me when I say it, how can you put the Chicago Bears above the Detroit Lions? When you got two starting quarterbacks, you don't have one. You can say whatever you want about Kirk Cousins. He's that starting quarterback. Obviously in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. Obviously. So the Chicago Bears going into this season, upcoming, I think are one of the most important teams that have got to take a step and be the guy, if it's Mitchell Trubisky or Nick Foles. The fact of the matter is there's no obvious starter. And that kills your franchise, your team, before you even take 1 foot out up on the football field. And they're in a lot of trouble as they move forward. And I'm going to ask Cuervo that same question. Because when you don't have one quarterback, you got two, and you're fighting about it, or if there is a quarterback controversy or quote-unquote competition, you don't have one. And you can go back in the files of the NFL. And guess what? The files of the NFL are right. When you don't have that starting quarterback for your football team, you're in trouble before you even get started. And that's where, unfortunately, the Bears are today, moving into this year. Good, bad, or indifferent, it is what it is. And I'm not saying the Chicago Bears are the only team that have that going on, But when you got a team where you don't have that guy being your guy, the chances of you making it far into the playoffs are not that good. And those are numbers that don't lie. Those are not the empty numbers that Frank Gore had to supposedly making him a Hall of Famer compared to what you're doing at the quarterback position in the NFL. Now, can Mitchell Trubisky take that step to prove that he should be the number one? But when you're going into the offseason and the team isn't saying, yep, he's our guy, even though that's the lip service I think I'm hearing. But I'm telling you right now, when a team that'll drop back up on that talk immediately because you have Nick Foles right there, you don't have a starter. And that tells me that you're in a lot of trouble before you even get started moving into the season, if they have a season, fans or not, or whatever the case may be. Those are all other things that you got to think about. But at the same time, what's going to happen to your team? What's going to happen to teams that don't have this? We can go back in the history books and see that when you don't have one, you don't have a good football team. Now, the thing that saves the Chicago Bears is their defense and the improvements on their defense. But I think the loss of that defensive coordinator, who is now the head coach over in Denver, is going to prove that the Chicago defense is about who is coaching them. And this upcoming season, with the combination of not having a number one quarterback and the fact that maybe that defense isn't going to be as good as what it is, we'll find out. So I went a little over because I wanted to talk about that. So, and more to the fact, well, hopefully we'll get Cuervo in here to talk about it, maybe Tarvin or maybe even Jonathan when we do it. Guys, again, sorry about not being able to kick our show because of the obviously the lack of news, and also obviously Sunday I wanted to be able to do a show, but I was just too damn tired even at 4 in the afternoon, so it didn't happen. So that's the reason why we're Monday morning quarterbacking into the afternoon. Thanks for all those that have joined us on the Couch Potato Sports Show. And, of course, thanks to the fantasy goddess herself, Andrea, for joining us. And she was here for a solid hour. Oh, my gosh. The knowledge that comes from that woman's mouth is unbelievable. And I learn a lot when I talk to Andrea. So make sure you check out Lenny Melnick, Andrea, over there on the Lenny Melnick network. Check them out. Again, so that's going to do it for me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio. I hope everybody has a great Monday. Get ready for this week. I'm going to be very busy, of course, because I am the hardest working man in sports radio. I'm going to be doing that as I opened up today. Hopefully everybody has a good one. We'll check you next time here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. So for Jonathan and Tarvin, as well as my co-host Cuervo, have yourself a good Monday. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.